Welcome, newcomers and true believers alike. This is the Countdown to Doomsday, an MCU watch along podcast packed to the brim with thrills and chills, twists and turns, and more supervillains. And you can shake a cherry bomb at. I had enough air in my lungs to finish it.
Oh,
But yeah, I'm your host, Jake. And as always, I'm joined by my co host, the star princess herself, Sammy.
hey! Oh
She's
my
got a code name.
goodness! I've got many code names now. I've got loads. Oh, we've passed
We've
the serious of Marvel.
we broke through the atmosphere. We're in space now.
Yeah,
Nothing is like what it was.
we
Everything is
are.
weird.
If we're back in 2014 still, and we are at the point now where this is probably the biggest gamble Marvel has ever put into their movies.
Yeah, it is, but I think they had such a good trailer for this that I think people
The
were
best.
pumped. And when I went to the cinema, it was packed. So like they pulled off what seems on paper the impossible. Like, how
Yeah,
do you get the Guardians of the Galaxy on screen?
when I say gamble, it's like they're taking a gamble on a massive on a group. It's not just one individual, it's a
Yes,
group of
they're
people.
all new as well. Not
Uh-huh.
no one in any other movies.
But they're also taking a gamble on the director.
Mhm.
James Gunn at this point is not the James Gunn that we know in 2025, the savior of comic book movies and
Yeah,
TV. He is a horror, like quite a grungy horror director at this point, a very
yes,
outspoken horror director, I add, which will
grungy
come and
but
bite him in the
funny.
arse.
Like it was
Yeah,
always like black comedies.
yes.
Because I'm not the biggest horror guy, but I have indeed seen Slither back when it was new, or coming to like home
Yeah.
DVD release.
So this is like a huge gamble and probably the biggest payoff
Mhm.
that Marvel's had, I think, personally, anyway.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking, because I was watching with Natalie, and she was like, "I love Baby Groot," and I was like, "You and a million other children," because this became the merch seller after this.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
anything Guardians, like you can get rockets, stuff, Groot, anything like weird little aliens. But I was walking around Primark, there is still Baby Groot stuff there to this day.
it's crazy. But I'll do the disclaimer
Yeah.
and then we'll get on into Guardians of the Galaxy because I'm excited for this one. I won't be excited when we do three. I'm just gonna put that out there. The excitement level will drop, but we're not there
Should we
yet. We're
should
still
we
in
both
20.
wear mascara and then like
See,
record straight after?
see. Oh, we wear mascara and see who's lasts the longest while on stream. It's gonna be horrible. Right. Everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our Facebook page. You can join us in the Discord or the comment section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of her nerdism.
Excelsior.
I like when someone says something afterwards. I have it on
Yes.
Monsters. I have it here. I like the yay.
You got it. There's a beat, like we
Yeah.
got to follow the beat. Excelsior
Yes.
is in fact referenced in this very movie, which might be the first literal time it's been referenced in a Marvel movie. We'll get to that.
Ooh. Well, I've got the development of Guardians
Yes.
because, like I said, this was a massive gamble. And this was announced back in 2010 when Kevin Feige, being the ever excitable Kevin Feige, like, oh, guess
Mhm.
what, guys? He brings to San
Roadmap.
Diego, yeah, San Diego Comic Con. He brings it out. We're going to be doing Guardians of the Galaxy. And
Who?
everyone went, who?
Yeah.
And then it kind of like just it sat in, and it's like Thor comes out, and all these other ones come out,
Yeah.
and then again he comes out. It's the 2013 one, and it's like, guess what, guys? We're doing Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they actually did it.
Yeah.
It went into production in 2012, and it's not it's quite an easy It's not like the rest of them where there's been like, or some of them where there's been like little tidbits. They were looking at directors. Initially they went to Peyton Reed, who is
Mm.
the director of Ant-Man, the first
Yeah,
Ant-Man,
I could see
and
that also working, but it would be different.
I think it'd be totally different. I think Peyton fits perfectly in with that because it's the blueprint of Marvel's archive origin story, and
Yes, yeah,
Peyton
yeah, yeah.
fitted in lovely with that. The duo of Anna Borden and Ryan Fleck. Oh, they have done something with Marvel before, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Joss Whedon was another one who was asked, but he was already working on Avengers.
Mhm.
And then we James Gunn, and he accepted and wanted to do marvelous and brilliant things with it.
I was gonna say, yeah, and like you said, he kind of kickstarted the superhero genre again. Because I wouldn't say it was like faltering or like losing some steam. Because obviously Winter Soldier was massive.
Yeah,
But
he just
I think they changed it up just at the right time.
yeah,
I don't think it like unfortunately it doesn't carry in it doesn't improve like Elevate Age of Ultron, I don't think, because that's quite a serious, like sad movie.
it
But
brings
yeah,
you back down to like where they were. So Avengers were kind of like riding high. Joss Whedon did so well on Avengers,
yes.
and then you've got Iron Man and Thor. And at the time, like not how we have felt afterwards, but at the
Yeah.
time, fatigue was starting to kick in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is like, "Ugh, this is boring." And then when the soldier comes in, and it's like, oh, hold on a minute, what's going on here? And then straight after, in the summer of that year, you get this movie, and it's
Mhm.
like, oh my God, Marvel, what are you doing to us? Are
Yeah,
you
it's got
is this an apology?
it's nuts, it's colorful, it's got, real music like in it. It's
Has the
insane.
best honest trailers on YouTube. Can you remember the honest trailers?
I do remember the channel. I
Screen
don't think I
Junkies?
saw this one.
Screen Junkies. I think I forgot to mention this in the Winter Soldier
Yeah.
episode last week, but the Russo brothers love the Honest Trailers guys, and
Right,
they were
okay.
dying to have one done for Winter Soldier, and they love fan reactions. It was the
Yes.
Russos who put together the fan reaction video leading up to the end of Infinity War,
Yes.
and I just missed out. I just
Yeah.
missed out. But yeah, they
You
were.
almost won. Russo brothers.
You owe me a reaction. My Fantastic Four one is still probably one of the best reactions I have ever done, and I have done a lot of trailer reactions in my time. um, what I have and what I am so dying to tell Jake about is the alternative cast.
It's my favorite part of the show.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for this one. Right, I am going to start with Peter Quill.
Star Prince, yep.
Yep, Star Prince. Um, so there is people. These are the people who we know auditioned because they have told us they have auditioned.
Yeah,
Um, Adam Brody.
funny. I can't see it right now, but yeah.
No, but that's the thing. You've got to look at Chris Pratt right now in Guardians is not Chris Pratt that you knew a year before as Andy from
Yeah,
Parks and Rec. He's a completely different dude.
yeah.
So yeah, Adam Brody, Lee Pace.
Okay.
Lee Pace is Ronan, the accuser.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like could you swap in my
No,
head?
I'm
No.
looking at Lee Pace right now when you can't.
He seems way too intense, but I know that's the thing. They're acting. So yes, they
Yeah.
probably could. But yeah, in hindsight it feels weird.
This one I can actually see is Joel Egerton. Now, if you
Which
don't
one's
know the
he
name,
again?
he is Uncle Owen in the prequels of the Star Wars movies. He is also in one of my personal favorites, Arthur, with Clive
Yeah.
Owen. And
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
look at him, I can kind of see it.
And he looks a little bit like Kurt Russell in this
He's got lovely
in some
ears.
of these modern photos. But yeah, like
There's
I did like him in yeah, I'm gonna compliment Obi-Wan. I liked him in Obi-Wan. He was probably the best character, even though he only has like a couple of scenes, but
Yeah,
he did
he's a
them really
presence.
well. You
He's a
really
presence.
felt he was pissed off, and so
He's
he should
really
be.
good in King Arthur. He's like, I don't get us wrong, that film is
Yeah,
horrific. I know this, but I watch it and I loved it for certain people. Ray Stevens being one of them, Joel
yeah.
Egner being another one, and Mads Mikkelsen being the third
Are you
one.
saying there's loads of crazy Star Wars links to that specific movie that you love? Because all
A
those
little bit.
guys have been in modern Star Wars
Yep,
working for Disney.
just a
Gotcha.
little bit. And the last one, because I don't reckon, well, the one that I don't recognize is a guy called Jack Houston,
Mhm.
and he's credited for American Hustle, The Irishman, and House of Gucci. He's got that. If Chris Pratt is what they're looking for,
Mhm.
that's like what they're aiming for. He kind of has the face for it. Can you get off my Jar Jar? Sorry, get off.
Be good,
Um,
cats. No touching the Jar Jar. Yeah, like Jack Houston, he's got like a very like American,
yeah,
but he's like a tall, dark, and handsome
yeah. So
style.
that's why I think that he could have pulled it off. But the last one I've left, don't know what he was thinking. Can't even see it now. Couldn't see it then. Is Eddie Redmayne. You know
I'm
who
looking
Eddie
all the.
Redmayne
I
is?
know. I just want to see people's faces while I think about it. Ew, no.
No, no,
I'm
no.
not the biggest fan of the Fantastic Beast anyway, but his face always creeped me
Yeah, no,
out.
not a fan. So that was the pick, the audition pick for Star-Lord. Now Chris Pratt comes in and does his audition,
Mhm.
and James Gunn is like, I love him, and I
He's
don't
very
care.
charming.
He was like, well, he was Andy. If Andy is Chris Pratt
Yeah,
and Chris Pratt is Andy, I get it. Like
it
I do
almost
get
is.
it.
It almost is like if Andy went to space,
Yeah.
like, but he has to have a different
Well, that's
backstory.
nearly how it went because James Gunn wanted him so badly. He
Mhm.
said, "You don't even need to do any workouts. You don't even need to lose any weight." Because if you remember, Andy wasn't the Chris Pratt that we know from Guardians. He was a little bit
Yeah,
heavy set, and he just, it just wasn't. It just didn't look like Star Lord.
he was
And
a
even
normal man, but he's big, like
yes,
he's tall, so he's gonna
yeah.
be big. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. And James Gunn was like, you don't even have to lose weight. You don't have to work out. I'll CGI the shit out of you. Like, it's fine. It's okay. I need you. And
yeah.
he had to go away because obviously television shows are kind of golden handcuffs to some people that they are
Yeah.
brilliant, but they do, they keep you there. And I'll always remember the episode of, I've just been saying it over and over again. Parks and
Parks and
Rec.
Rec. Yeah.
Where they're in London and Andy's like disappeared for a bit and then he comes back and he's like, "Whoa, did London do this to you?" And he's like, "Oh, buff." But Drax is the one that's kind of got me. Oh, sorry, Gamora.
Oh yeah.
There was only one person I could find for Gamora, and it was Amanda Sedgefield.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
she auditioned for the role. No, I no.
I think like at the time Zoe was the right choice for
Oscar
Gamora.
winner Zoe Saldana.
Yeah. Yeah, like that was the time when she was like on her biggest like rise, I feel like, and should like, crossed into the nerd
She is the
sphere a
queen.
few
If
years
you
before.
if you really think about it, she's the queen of the nerds.
Yeah. And
Avatar,
she,
Star Trek,
aye.
Star Wars.
And she is like
No,
a massive nerd herself, like because when they were doing the behind the scenes stuff for the Star Trek, like she was just talking about how she was like nerding out on the sets and everything because she watched this stuff when she was kids, and
I've
it's
just
like
said I've just said Star Wars. She was never in Star Wars.
not
That's just
yet.
wishful thinking. Yeah. So Zoe Saldana, Oscar winner. Sorry, Zoe
Mhm.
Saldana. She's just won her Oscar
Yeah.
recently. Well done. She deserves it. Um, Drax. Okay, Drax. First, so Dave Batista is part of the auditioning process. It's not a case of, oh my God, we need Dave Batista. He was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
part of the audition process. The person they really wanted
Yeah.
was Jason Momoa.
Right. Yeah. Again, for the time period, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Another guy who auditioned. Now you may know this name, and I may butcher it. Um, Shad Gaspard.
I don't know if I
She
do.
He's a wrestler. He's a WWE wrestler. He's also the motion capture for Kratos in God of War.
Right. Okay. All
Him.
right, so he's the motion capture, but
Yeah,
he's not
not
the
the voice.
voice.
No, the
Yeah.
voice. We all know who the voice is, and I can't think of his name at the top of my head, but he's fantastic. I
No,
love him.
He's Tilk from Stargate.
Yes. He
Oh,
actually passed away. Um,
I,
he's
no,
actually no longer with us.
I don't actually know that guy, but
Oh, I
it
thought
might have been in the WWE time when I wasn't watching.
he actually passed away. He's the one who pulled his son out of the lifeboat. You know, out of the water and saved his son.
Right, okay. I
Oh
do remember hearing
wow,
about that.
what a hero! Well, he auditioned for Drax. Um, Dimijon Hoson. So sorry, I can't say your name properly. The guy who says probably the most famous line in this movie. Who?
Oh, right, he was a Drax. Okay, right.
He was a Drax. I can say Dimijon. I can't say it. I really can't say it. And it's such a shame because he's such a fucking amazing actor. And I'm so glad that they used him in Captain Marvel. He's
Yeah.
also played the voice part for Black Panther before. So
Mm.
he's very familiar within,
Like
comic.
superhero. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he auditioned, but then he didn't get it because, someone else came in. Now this one, if they didn't put the picture up, I would never have known who he is. He's called Brian Patrick Wade. Big Bang fans, Big Bang Theory fans will know him as Penny's ex-boyfriend, who Leonard goes to get her TV back from, and he steals their trousers.
He's not friendly looking enough for Drax. That's the problem. He looks mean.
He
But
looks
yes, I know
really
exactly who you're
mean.
talking about.
Yep. And this is he that is that yeah, this is the one that really, really shocked me. Two people auditioned side by side for Gamora and Drax.
Uh-huh.
One was Napita Nyong'ai,
Hmm.
and the other was Chadwick Boseman.
Right.
So Napita Nyong'ai and Chadwick Boseman auditioned for Drax and Gamora, and they were put together because normally they do group people together to check on
Yeah.
chemistry. Loved their chemistry. That's when he got offered Black Panther.
That's really cool. So we could have had a totally actually, in the what if when they do what if
Don't.
T'Challa was like,
No.
head of the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's
And he turned everything around and he made
yeah.
Thanos a better person. And
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite what ifs. I
But
cried hysterically at
that's fun
that.
that it has like, real world
Yeah.
like links.
Yes,
Oh.
exactly. But I never even put two and two together. But yeah, that oh God, that episode broke me, and it was right at the end because obviously it was a dedication to Chadwick Boseman. Because
Yeah.
oh my God,
And
I
he
can't believe he's
recorded it.
here.
Yeah.
He did. It's his voice. He's forever imprinted in it. And it was just sad. Anything to do with Chadwick Boseman for me is just so sad, and it's so he should still be here. Rocket.
Mhm.
Now we all know that I'm still not convinced to this day that that is Bradley Cooper.
I was
It's
thinking
so
that
weird.
like obviously Bradley Cooper is like a totally fine actor, but he was never in like much like serious. He kind of like sat in that area of like it's either going to be comedy or it's like a weird thriller sort of thing. Like he had like
Yeah.
feet in both, like actiony thriller
Uh-huh.
but comedy. Um, but I would not have expected him to be a
No.
really good voice actor on top of it.
I can't hear him until I watch Silver Lining Playbook. Because in Silver
Right?
Lining Playbook, the accent's there. Like that is Bradley Cooper accent right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And he kind of they sound very similar. Even when I see him
Like
in
doing
the
it.
booth, I still can't picture that that's Bradley Cooper.
It's weird
Um,
because it's very like it's very shouting all the time as well. So like
yeah.
that's not an easy thing to do. So he must have some good
But
training.
when he does talk really quietly and he's like muttering stuff, he says some of the funniest shit. And I
Yeah,
only picked up some today that I was like, I never knew you
I
said
know.
that.
I love that scene when he's like looking at everyone through his binoculars.
Yeah.
Like what a bunch of freaks.
So there was other actors considered for Rocket.
Yeah.
Don't know how you're gonna feel about this first one. I like him as an actor.
Mhm.
I understand that his voice can very much grate on people. Um, it's Adam Sandler.
Oh, it's I don't know if he can talk that fast.
He actually, it says in the article that he actually did an overstated version of Rocket's accent in That's My Boy. and that's kind of what they were looking for.
Gee, Groot, that's fantastic. Oh no, I don't like it.
No, I ended like I have a soft spot for Adam Sandler, but I
Oh,
can
I loved his
understand.
films in the 90s and stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Big
And
Daddy, amazing.
I still love Little Nicky. I don't care what anyone says. I
I
still
still
love Little
I
Nicky.
had that on DVD. I watched it like
I had
every
it on
night
video.
almost. I still quote things from his movies, like
Yeah.
Hip Hop Anonymous and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, that's me and my sister do hip hop anonymous.
You give him
Um,
all the easy ones.
I still one of my if I feel sad and just need to switch off and watch something fun that I consider fun, I will always put Grown Ups on. Always. I
That's one I
love
haven't
Grown
seen.
Ups. I love Grown Ups. Anth will never understand it. I don't like the second one. I think it's shit. But the first one for me, it just it centers me.
Okay. No, everyone needs to have that kind
Um,
of thing.
Another one which I think is a really would have been really good. Would have been really really good. Is David Tennant.
Oh yeah, it would have had to been Scottish rocket.
He can't. That's the thing. You don't know with Tennant because he's
No,
so
yeah, he
good at
does American.
accents.
Yeah, he's done plenty of American
Uh-huh.
accents. Yeah.
So you don't know what kind of rocket you would have gotten, but I still think the sharpness of him and how he can talk
Yeah.
is like I think he would have done it well. The one that I left to last, if this guy had done Rocket, it would have been a totally different game. Like there's no way you can change this guy's voice. He is a voice actor. He's on probably one of my favorite animated shows, which is Bob's Burgers. It's H. John Benjamin,
No
and
way.
if he did Rocket,
Oh my god. It would have been good though in a different, like you say, very different way.
yeah, incredibly
I'd love to hear
different.
the test screening, like if there is one.
But yeah,
Well, the
that's
thing is, he can shout. He can do the shouty thing because there's loads of parts in Bob's Burgers, like when he shouts at the top of his voice.
yeah.
He has that high register as well. He's good.
I don't. There's nothing there for Groot. Just that Vin Diesel got the pop. But God, Vin Diesel. Like for all we think, he just went. I am Groot. He had to record that like 700 billion times, and not just in his language. He did it in Russian, Mandarin,
Really?
Spanish, Portuguese, German, and French. He did every single version of I am Groot.
Oh, that's cute. And he's done it for like three, not even just three movies, like movies plus, where he's a guest in like
Yeah,
Avengers and stuff.
and
And
he is so protective of this character.
yeah,
Like he's. This is
Groot's
what I refer
yeah,
to.
Groot's beautiful in this movie.
Oh, this is my Groot.
He's just a joy to like look at
This
constantly.
is
Like yeah,
I love the idea of whole, the little baby Groot and teenage Groot. It's cute, it's adorable.
yeah,
This is Groot.
yeah,
Right now, this Groot, even though I do like the one at the end of three where he's all like
yeah.
when Batista found out he got the role, he burst into tears. Like
Hmm.
this is his big break.
I
So
know.
this is where he kind of like he was like, shit, I need to take this seriously. And he got an acting coach, started like this is Batista's. I'm not going to call him Batista because he's an actor now, and I feel like we should be stepping away because the man's
The animal.
proved, but he's really proved his acting abilities and that he does
Oh
take this
yeah.
serious, and he really does want to step away from the wrestler gone actor. He doesn't want to be the John Cena and the Rock of the world. He wants to be
Uh-huh.
taken serious. When he did knock at the cabin on the door, that's when I looked at him and went, "Oh my God, you are nothing like the Cenas and Rocks of this world. You
Oh,
really aren't."
he's easily the best wrestler turned actor. And I know like
Easily.
he's had a different like path than most people have. Like
Mhm.
Roddy Piper wasn't getting offered like blockbusters and stuff. Yes, but he did well in his like like
Did
little
well and
action
they
movies and
lived.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, like, and Batista had a strange ending to his first run of his career, where he was like the angry heel and he was like
Mm,
in a wheelchair being like I quit, but it was very actorly, like he had to act.
yeah,
um but honestly, Batista, he's just amazing.
I
He's
love
like
him.
he's a nice guy as well. Like his story's amazing. He's got like two mothers, so he's always been like very like hot on inclusion and being
Yeah,
nice to everyone, and not judging books
he's
by the
such a
covers.
he's
He
such a
didn't get into
good guy.
wrestling till he was like in his 30s because he just wanted to so badly, and he was
Yeah.
obviously working out.
Oh yeah, that's
He was
evident. But
built.
now he's trimmed down because he won. When you watch him in Knock at the Cabin of the Woods, it is slightly distraction because of his size.
Yeah, a little
But
bit.
the best part about it is he manages to bring you in to the character that he's created that you
Mhm.
stop looking at the size. And I know he probably isn't looking at it that way because he has like said he wants to slim down so he can be taken seriously in
Mhm.
serious roles. And it's like, dude, your acting ability puts that aside. We're
Yeah,
not looking at that.
I would say like in Guardians 3, he looks massive. And I'm not sure if they wanted him to be like beefed up for that, but
He
this is
looked more
this is a
like
little
Drax in the comics in the third one than he's ever done.
yeah, but in this one he still looks quite trim around the neck
Yeah,
and stuff.
he's a quite leanish.
I mean when he was a wrestler, he wasn't this big. It's weird. He kind of like he was like trim and fast and stuff. But
Mm.
yeah, he beefed up for movie dumb. Unless it was just because there was all the gym bros hanging out like him and Chris Pratt, and they just egged each other on to get huge.
Could have been like Pratt is a total like
But yeah,
180.
if you ever get a chance to like see Dave Bautista in interviews and stuff, he comes across like such a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Rid-
wish him all the best. Get him an Oscar one day.
Please. That's why I knew Anna Borden and Ryan Fleck's name. It was bothering the life out of us. I had to
You
Google
got
it.
it.
The directors of Captain Marvel.
Right. Okay. So it's in the future that come back.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And my Guardians of the Galaxy comic book, road includes Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
She was either with Rocket or um who is actually Quill's father, Jason. She had a few fights with him. That
Yeah.
really bothered me because when at the end they're like, we should have given him to his dad, but his dad's an a-hole. And I'm like, yeah, he is. He really is. He's horrible. Jason
Oh,
is just the worst. And then
you
it
had the
turned out
wrong
not to be
guy.
him. Yeah.
It turned out to be
It turned out not to
Ego,
be
the
him.
living planet. A
But at the
different guy.
time, but at the time when this come out, like I'm just starting my comic book journey. So I
Yeah.
am reading the classics. I am
Yeah.
reading your Old Man Logan's, your Killing Joke, your Arkham
Long
Asylum.
Halloween.
Yeah, I actually didn't read Long Halloween till the other year, but yeah, stuff like
Dark
that.
Knight Returns.
Yes, Dark Knight Returns, Kingdom Come, and what's the Green Lantern one that I read, Darkest Night,
Darkest
Blackest
Night.
Night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite covers of all time. Actually, Anth has a picture on poster on his wall of it. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite comic book covers. And yeah, so I'm reading the classics. So at this point, I haven't read anything of Guardians until again I start reading Captain Marvel, and when they start to like leak into, because I think Captain Marvel's like the first in my independent looking, she's my first comic book character I go to start reading her stuff, and it was
Hmm.
Kelly Jo Conic's Higher Further Faster, and it started to lead me into the road of the Guardians. And
Space Marvel.
yes, and
Yeah.
and I loved this movie so much. I was so desperate to see it. The trailer is one of, still to this day, one of my favorite trailers that was ever released. I
Yeah.
still get chills from it. Um, I had to see this movie so badly. I watched it on the worst copy ever. It
Yeah.
was absolutely terrible. There was not just people walking, it was fuzzy, but I
Yeah.
had to see it. And then the minute it came out, we had in where near where I live, like a little shopping centre, which is called Dalton Park, and it
Mhm.
used to have a secondhand, like a music zone, but like,
Yeah.
oh, it was like worse than that. And I remember going, the date came out and they only had it on DVD. And I was like, I'm still getting it. Like, I have to have it. I think I bought that in Gears of War 2.
Nice.
I was like,
Good times.
that I always remember coming home with a cup of tea from Starbucks, a bag of Maltesers, and Guardians of the Galaxy and Gears of War 2. Oh my God, I wish I had them
That's
days
like
back.
I was gonna say that's like the perfect sort of 2015
Oh,
afternoon.
I love it. See, this is what I kind of do on a weekend sometimes. When I want to switch off and don't
Yeah.
like, I try and recapture.
Yeah.
them moments.
I need to
Like
do
I
that.
love them moments.
It's the specific thing of like buying the snack and,
Uh-huh.
shutting the curtains and
And
just
just
sitting there.
closing the world
That's
out.
because that's what I did for, the Batman Arkham Asylum. Like when that
Hmm.
came out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk to the town because I live near the town. I live near Park Lane. It's like I'm gonna walk to the game shop at like 10 o'clock, get the
Yeah.
game, walk home, shut the curtains, like just play Batman for the entire day,
Oh
get a
my God.
subway. I'm there.
Yeah. See, and this is what I'm missing. This is what I try and recapture. Whenever I say
Yeah,
to you, I'm switching
having
off.
a yeah.
This is what I'm doing. I remember when Arkham Asylum came out because I was poorly. I just was I just about to have my nose done? I had something. It was something to do with my face.
You got like
Um,
a reaction or something.
I have really shit sinuses.
Yeah.
Where I've had like nose, I've had operations and stuff on it, and it was one of those times when I was really poorly from it. And Anth pre-ordered it for us for my birthday.
Yeah.
I still have the card that came with the Amazon. This is how sad I am. I still have the card that came with Amazon delivery, and it's like, happy early birthday. Like, hope you enjoy being Batman for once. And I'm like,
Nice.
um, oh my God, I miss them days so much. We need, and this is why I loved it. This is why I loved when we did Free Comic Book Day last year.
Yes. Because you
That
get to
felt
just be a big kid again.
it honestly felt like that. Like, well, when we were like in the queue, I didn't mind waiting. I loved the fact that we were waiting. And
Talking
then
about
when we,
comics.
yes, and then we got our comics, and then we all congregated over to Geek Retreat and sitting just going through all of our comics while having like snacks. And oh, it was so much fun. And it was
We'll
Star
do it
Wars Days
again.
or two. Oh no, we're doing it again this year, but still, it was so much fun. And we had
Yeah,
a
but it
really
probably
bad
isn't going to be May
breakfast.
the 4th at the same time. I don't
It's gonna
know.
be May. It's gonna be May the 5th.
Oh, oh,
Is
Revenge of
it?
the 5th.
Revenge of the Fifth. It's either that or I can't. I can never remember.
Yeah.
It's the third actually. It's the third. It's the day before. So no Star
Boom.
Wars Day for us. But yeah. Yes, happier times. Well, not happier times, but just simpler times.
Yeah, no, but I can fold this into Guardians. The Guardians are all about missing out on the fun
Yeah.
times in their lives, but then they come together and they're like, let's be friends and let's have fun again
Yeah.
because our lives have sucked up to this point.
Yeah. I anytime I put this movie on now, I feel like I'm going back to family. Like I
Yeah.
genuinely feel like I'm with my guys again. It's okay.
Yep. And the
Until you
guys
get
are
to the third one.
like once they get to know each other, they're happy. It's not like, people
Hmm.
like betraying or like,
They
going away or anything. Like everyone's on a nice page.
they all instantly realize that what was missing in their lives was each other, and
Yes.
it doesn't take very long. And Rocket's probably the quickest
The
one to
longest,
figure it out.
yeah,
No,
the holdout.
he's the but it's just out of fear that he's holding out.
Yes.
Rocket could have quite easily gone so many times over, but he decided to stay, especially when they're on nowhere
Yeah.
and they all jet off into the in the ships. He could have quite easily went in the opposite direction. He didn't need to
Rocket
go with Quill.
Rocket always has been the most complicated character in these series. And I think just because he's a CGI animal, people like overlook that, but his like backstory and
Oh.
the journey goes on and like the different emotions he shows is like
Hmm.
way above everybody else.
And James Gunn didn't need to show us it because what we hear from him in the first one is
Yeah.
more than enough to make me want to burst into tears when he's saying
Yeah.
that I was put together and I was created into this little monster, and I'm like, you saw
Yeah.
not, but oh, and then you get the third one. He was the third ever Funko Pop I ever bought.
Oh, that's
Actually,
cool.
he was the first ever one that I bought because the first two was a Batman limited edition one,
Yeah.
and it came from Loot Crate
Yeah.
because I used to have a Loot Crate subscription when they were good.
Didn't we
Um,
all?
and the second one was my Groot, and my Groot is a limited edition Loot Crate exclusive,
Yeah.
and it's Groot but with the glowing hand.
Oh, that's nice.
And
Yeah.
this is when Funko like started to come out because before Funko it was bobbleheads. If you all remember them, I
I had a
have
Captain
quite a
America
few.
bobblehead. Yeah.
I have a Spider-Man and Venom that is actually fallen down the side because they don't have no arms. They're so old, they don't have no arms. I got a Predator, Crow, Marv. They're still kicking about somewhere in the house. But and Ant's got an Elwood from Blues Brothers. But that's what you bought before Funkos. It was bobbleheads. And I got me Groot with his arm that glows in the dark. And then the first one I actually bought myself was Rocket.
Yeah, he
I love
works.
that little furry creature so much.
Yeah, he's awesome. I always like the it's just like a character concept that is immediately appealing where you're like, oh, it's a raccoon, but he's super intelligent and he loves silly giant weapons. And you're like, right, I'm on board. I don't need to know
Yeah,
anything else.
and you know the best part about it is we don't know how super intelligent he is until the third one, but he is
Yeah,
always giving you hints throughout. Like when he's pulling Quill's ship apart,
I
like
love
he's
that.
clearly advancing that. And
And he's like, "What's that thing?" He's like, "Oh, it's a bomb." Like, what if you need to blow up a moon? It's just like nobody's blown up any moons. And he's like, "Well, can you not leave it on the floor?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll put it in this box." It's just so funny.
he mutters something under his breath that made us laugh at that point as well, and I can't remember what it is now. I love him. He's always my first pick in Marvel Capcom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's always part of my team. I always have Rocket there. He has
He's
a
in
really big
Marvel
gun.
Rivals as well. Just saying.
Yeah. um, but yeah, he probably is my favorite character in this.
Yeah.
But that's not to take away from any other character, because they are all equally as fantastic. But just one more thing on Rocket, and it's more to do with the guy who created Rocket, and
Mhm.
let's say his name right, Mantlo.
Yeah.
So Bill Mantlo is the creator and writer of Rocket,
Mhm.
and he got really, really, really poorly, and Marvel took a screening over to him to show him Rocket, and
Yeah.
because of the fact that he wouldn't really get any like compensation for his use of his character,
Oh, yeah.
Marvel paid for his entire care for the rest of his life. All of his healthcare bills were taken care of by Marvel because he
Oh, that's
loved it.
good.
He loved it before they even offered this. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he loved the fact that his creation was being put on screen and it was done well, and yeah, and because like if you know the Jack Kirby story, they don't all come out on top when it comes
Yeah.
down to their creations. But Marvel did the right thing. The studio did the right thing and paid for his whole entire care for the rest of his life, and he died in 2023. Sadly,
Oh, so you got to see a lot more
yes,
Rocket on screen. That's nice.
yes, but they didn't know. But they didn't know at the time.
No, no, you wouldn't, would you? And maybe without that help, he maybe wouldn't have.
No,
I just want to say real quick, because I saw it in the credits and it was incredibly cute on Rocket Raccoon. Um, they used a real life raccoon for reference, and it was named Oreo.
I remember that, but it's the motion capture is
Yeah.
Sean Gunn,
Yep. Yeah, he's just crawling around on set.
which obviously pays him well because he goes on to do that in James Gunn's Suicide Squad when he plays Weasel.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a couple of moments that he sort of ad-libbed that they just like added in, like and stuff like that. So yeah, he was
Mhm.
definitely like brought some stuff to the character. Like I
Sean
think
Gunn's
when they all
incredible.
stand up at the end, he like adjusts himself. Apparently that was sort of like ad-libbed, but they just left it in. But it's really cute.
Yeah, there's a few things as well that were not meant to be, and one of them being the orb. When
Right.
Quill hands the orb over and he drops it, that is Chris
That
Pratt
was
genuinely dropping it and picking it up and
right.
going. And James Gunn was like, "No, that's perfect."
I did think that was like that caught me off guard in this one because I
Yeah,
totally forgot about it. Like, so it really does feel like a
yeah.
genuine accident. So yeah, that makes total sense.
Um,
Uh,
so the motion capture is done by Sean Gunn, who is also a Ravenger, and I love Sean Gunn.
yeah, he's
Um,
really fun. I'm glad he
I
stuck around for the rest of them.
yeah, I mean, he is James's brother, so
Oh,
like,
yeah, I just mean I'm glad they didn't kill him.
yeah. At the beginning of the movie, you see a doggy on a projector. That
Yeah,
is James Gunn's dog, who sadly he lost not last year maybe.
yeah,
And he was always on. He's always referenced in James's movies.
yeah. He's
Is
in the sequel, I think, on a pickup truck, like in the
mm-hmm.
intro and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He's in there. Trying to think of anything little tidbits. James Gunn is actually in this movie, technically, almost-ish.
Yeah.
He is Groot. At the
Yeah.
end, the dancing Groot, that is stop motion dancing James Gunn.
Yeah, our very own Chris did his own dance
He
this week as well. It was
did.
very similar when you think about it.
We could literally put Chris and James together and it would be
Are you
very
saying we could
similar.
merchandise the hell out of Chris
Finger
and
guns.
make Funko
It was the
Pops?
finger guns. That was the best part for
The
me.
dad guns.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of like little tidbits before we like get into like the grit of it. But I think I'm out of little tidbits.
That's all right. Yeah, let's
Oh,
jump in. We'll quickly do a quick rundown here and talk about all the parts we actually want to. Oh, you got one more?
I've got two little bits that are
Drop
that
them.
are just funnies that they did on set. So James Gunn gave Dave Bautista a lunchbox to add to his vintage collection because Dave collects vintage
Those old metal
lunchboxes.
ones. Yep.
Yes, I used to have an I Love Lucy one, and it was the best. And it was the handle was like an old aerial antenna, you know, when the like,
Oh,
and it was all
like
twisty turny
right.
because the whole
Ah.
tin was like a television. I loved that tin. I think my sister's got it. Yeah, so he gave him a vintage lunchbox. So Dave Bautista, in kind, returned everybody with their own personalized WWE Championship belts.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
and James Gunn has a tendency for playing with Play-Doh.
Right.
I hate Play-Doh. The smell of it, the feel of it, it's vile.
How
But
about
he
blue
has
tack?
I don't mind a bit of blue tack. I used to, in the early days of Nerdy Up North, I used to have a big ball of blue tack on my desk and I used to sit and roll it all the time. But now I
Yeah.
have anxiety octopus. So I don't have to
Yeah.
do that anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, Play-Doh, he has a tendency of playing with Play-Doh. And what he would do is he would have little canisters of Play-Doh like everywhere.
Yeah.
And you know you did a good job if James Gunn handed you a canister of Play-Doh.
Right. What were you supposed to do with
He
it?
was like giving away 40 containers during a shoot, like just have some Play-Doh. He was like, he was like, what was he, what did he say? Opening a new container and smelling it puts me in a creative childlike place. And who
Right.
doesn't
Okay.
love playing with Play-Doh?
Okay. No, I can understand that. So he likes the fresh, yeah, a new one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, sorry, I have found another one and I've just remembered an alternative cast member who I forgot
Shoot. You
who
can
I missed
shoot.
out.
Go
Oh
for
my
it.
God, I'm so
Don't
sorry. I've
worry.
been so
Don't
excited about this
no
episode.
apologies.
The alternative cast member, and I kept him to last because it was incredible.
Not
It
Triple
was
H
for
again.
Rocket. Oh my God. Oh, no. No, that was enough the first time round. No, it's because some things just caught my eye. A name, Rocket.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito auditioned for Rocket. And it's
Oh man.
because Bradley Cooper cited Tommy DeVito from Goodfellas as his inspiration behind his voice. And that's what
Yeah.
caught my eye. Um, yeah, Iron Man was planned to be in a cameo role in this film.
All
Um,
right.
and it was to pay homage to because if you've read Guardians, Iron Man does play a huge part. He has a massive relationship with Gamora.
Hmm.
You know, the Gamora from the comics, not the Gamora from the films, and we'll get into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
They are very two different people. But yeah, and they wanted to pay homage to the fact that he is part of the comics because James really, really did his homework on this group. Like this isn't just something
Yeah.
he went, oh, I'll just do them because it's random and funny. Like he really
And
did a
I'll
lot of
make up
work
my
into it.
own. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly,
No,
because
yeah, yeah.
he did not. And because at the time, if you remember me telling you in Iron Man 3, nobody knew what Mr. Stark was doing. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
RDJ hadn't agreed to anything. And I mean, obviously at the time of release, yes, because you've got Age of Ultron coming out, so we know where he stands. But when they're starting the pre-production for this in 2013, nobody knew where he was at.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
they
He could
had
have quit for all we knew back then.
exactly. So that had to be turned down. And my last little tidbit is the closing credit scenes. It says no raccoons or tree creatures were harmed during the making of this film.
Very good.
Right, let's get into the film.
We
Before I find
open,
something else.
yeah, no, it's fine. We open in 1988, which is actually the year of my birth, so that is fun.
Oh my God,
Um,
the heavens aligned.
but I'm younger than Star-Lord was. I guess because he looks about 6 or 7. I don't know.
The kid who plays him, for all you horror fans, he is Stanley Ulrich in It Part 1.
Oh, all right, okay. I think I've got his name here, Wyatt Olaf.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mammy Quill, for all you In-Betweeners fans, she is the girlfriend of Will in the In-Betweeners movie.
And she has shown up in Marvel in Captain America: The First Avenger, but it's not the same character. So shut up,
No,
everyone.
no. There is another
It's
character as well who shows up in this one who's going to be showing up later who's not the same character.
yeah, yeah. But I think people have tried to like wedge it in because they're like, well, I think if she was dating a celestial being, then maybe she is some kind of like, maybe she is eternity. That the Marvel celestial.
No,
But no, now it's been confirmed. James Gunn does hide secret messages in his movies, but none of them talk about Peter Quill's mother.
no,
Um, but yeah, so we open on this cold open. There's no like intro or anything. Heartbreaking scene of a mother dying and her child sitting in the hospital, not really knowing what to do with himself, and
no,
it's very relatable because I don't know what everyone else is like, but I find it hard to know what to do when there's death around. And I think it's an absolute like such a natural kid reaction that they get in those scenes that I'm just
yeah,
like, I think someone in the writer's room has seen or lived through this before because it's very real.
yeah, and it's the granddad's reaction because the first thing he wants to do is just protect him
Yeah,
and him not to be in that room.
he kind of
For
like he kind of looks annoyed with him in parts as well, like as if he's not.
I think he's annoyed with the whole situation. Like
Aye, yeah. And the way he
it,
stops her from talking about the being of light is kind of odd, as if he's kind of wanting, like, as if he's kind of trying to say, like, oh, get all this stupid stuff out the way. Your son, hold your mother's hand, sort of thing.
yeah, he's trying to he's probably heard about the man in the stars 1,000
Yeah.
times
Oh,
and
yeah.
probably sick to death of listening about, this great man from space who in his head probably doesn't exist.
Yeah, because I
Um,
because I wasn't sure if like they were thinking it was like brought on by being close to death. People sometimes say
ex
things that
yeah,
just isn't. It's
exactly.
like, yeah,
He's probably just it's probably not anger, it's just it's just his way of dealing with things. I don't
yeah.
hold any ill will against the granddad at all in this scene. I think he handles it how you would expect an adult to try and handle it. Like
That's what I
everyone
feel.
just
That's
wants
what
to
I
protect
mean.
children.
It's very real. He's like, you got to go in and see your mother. Like he doesn't say
Uh-huh.
it's your last chance, but he obviously
No.
knows it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get the heartbreaking moment where he won't sort of hold a hand and look at her. But
Well,
again,
very foreshadowing, isn't it?
yeah, but again, that I feel like that's a totally natural reaction for
Yeah.
kids and even me. I think in parts where I'm like, I don't want to see the body or anything. I don't want to, like,
That's
like I want my
no,
last memories to be happy.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
For all that I am fascinated by the human body and what happens to it after we die,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that I am not human and do not have the same reactions as everyone else. When
Yeah.
my grandmother died, I was terrified to go and see her in the Chapel of Rest until I
Mhm.
saw her.
Yeah.
And that was a whole different experience. She had any teeth. It was so weird. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, you've just ruined it the moment now. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
I'm
yeah.
very much on the same level as everyone else. As much as I am interested in, the morbid stuff, it doesn't mean that I don't feel like I freeze. I
Mhm.
completely and utterly freeze.
Yeah, I'm the
I've
same.
been put in them positions quite a few times, and I can't do it.
Yeah, like my granddad got took to hospital after like he had a stroke in a car crash, and it's
Oh
like
my god.
I don't want to see him in the hospital bed because the last thing I remember was having a nice phone conversation with him like a few weeks earlier, and it's like
Yeah, let
I
that be the
understand.
memory.
I love that they're actually putting this in because usually in like big Hollywood movies, you get the teary eyed, like, grabbing on and like not letting go type of thing.
Yeah.
And this is so much more real than you're expecting. It's a proper gut punch at the
It
start of this
is. It
movie.
is. It is because that's what Peter Quill did. Leaving that
Yeah.
room is exactly what I would have done.
Yeah.
My grandfather died at home. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't even go into the room. There's no
No,
fucking
it's
way I was going
yeah.
in there. I'm good. But that's like I don't know how I'd react now. I was 17 at the time.
Yeah, well, you
I've not
never.
been
That's
put
the
in that
thing.
position for a
You
long
never.
time, but
That is the main thing. You never know how you're going to react. So,
yeah.
don't judge
Um,
other people for the way they react
no,
because you
no,
don't
not at
know.
all. But this is when Peter gets taken off into the stars.
Yeah. Obviously goes out and screams into the sky, which again is a very normal reaction for humans to have to want to get
I
outside.
I understand that
Exactly.
way too well when oh God, sorry to get all like depressed
No.
and everything, but when we lost Baxter and we were in the room with him, I did it took everything in me not to scream into the abyss because I
Yeah.
just I went the room was fucking ridiculously hot and I
Yeah.
just didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be in this position anymore. I just wanted to be gone and I
Yep.
understand that guttural scream that he did.
Yeah. And yeah, unfortunately, the kid gets way too much of his wish to want to get away from the situation and is zipped up onto a Ravager ship, as we come to
Not
find
just
out.
not just any shift, Yondu's shift.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I actually just before we go any further, I have somewhere. Oh my God, I did my homework because I wanted to make sure. Um, so the Guardians of the Galaxy actually came to be in 1969. The
Yes. Yep.
original lineup was Vancestaro. God, I said this name in my head perfectly. Martinex Tanaga,
Yep.
Captain Charlie,
Yeah.
Stargar Orgod. Oh my God. Elta
These are
Orgod and
yep.
Nikki and our favorite Yondu Undonta.
Yep. Who back in the day
Sorry if I
back in the
butchered
day
that
was a
list.
big mohawked archer with a bow and
Yes,
arrow.
exactly. And I love how they have incorporated
Yep.
the arch, the headpiece, the archery. I love all that. But yeah, Yondu was an original lineup of Guardians, and I just want to put that out there before I forgot to.
Oh yeah, and if we mess up any names, these guys are aliens. It's not our fault.
Hey,
We don't
if you've been watching me for 4 years now, you know I can't pronounce shit,
we don't have
right?
universal translators like Star Lord, which is actually referenced in the movie when he gets
Hmm.
scanned by the Nova Corps. Like
Yeah,
it flashes up that he's got a universal translator. So that's why we don't have to worry about alien languages, and
yeah,
we can just move on with a good movie.
exactly. That's right. Um,
Yeah,
so this is where Quill is doing the brilliant walk
yeah,
across.
the dad dancing.
I love in Infinite. Is it Infinity War or Endgame? Endgame, where you
Yeah.
see the other side.
Yeah. Because it's isn't it like Nebula and Rhodey, War
Yeah,
Machine,
yeah.
and they're just like he's an idiot, right? Like something, and she's like, yes.
What was the song you were singing again?
That one isn't that one hooked on a feeling? Is it?
Is it Hooked on a Feeling?
Is that one?
Yeah, I can't remember. Why can't I've just watched this movie? It's
It's
one of
all
the
right.
most. It's the famous song.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
can't I remember?
Yeah, honestly, this would have been like the first major ones, like times I heard these songs was in this movie. Don't
The
come at
sound.
me. I grew up
No,
in the time of grunge. That was really cool.
it was. He grew up in such a good feeling. Such a good. I know, such a good time. It's because Hooked on a Feeling just came straight up. It must have been Hooked on a Feeling.
Yeah, I think so. But
No,
yeah, so he does this weird like little dance. He's like kicking space rats
it's.
around.
I've got it. Come and get your
Yeah,
love.
okay, sorry.
Diddly-doo-doo. Wow, I knew it wasn't Hooked on a Feeling because that's not till later on. Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Oh, brain can calm down now.
So he's like kicking rats, and there's another Beta Ray Bill type of skeleton. They keep referencing your guy, but he hasn't showed up
He's no.
still.
Yeah. I've never actually seen Peter Ray Bill in Guardians, and I was thinking of this earlier. I was like, God, this would be such a perfect place for him to be.
I
But
just drop him in the team, yeah.
yeah, he would be so good here. But and he would thrive as well, and he wouldn't feel out because that's Beta Ray Bill's massive problem is feeling out of place. He wouldn't be out of place. He'd be
But
amongst normal.
yeah, but Peter Quill would know about Mr. Ed because he had, as we find out over the movie, he has like a base level of pop culture knowledge, but it cuts off obviously at like 88.
The fact that he says John Stamos.
He
That
also
just shows where he's
references
at.
he also references the Maltese Falcon.
Yes, he does. And that another thing that I picked up today, because
Yeah.
he was like Ark of the Covenant, Maltese Falcon kind of thing, and I was like, shit, bitch, I know what that
I
means.
understood that reference.
I am Captain America sitting there going, I
Yeah.
got that.
Well, yeah, I only know because of you guys covered it.
I see, I bring the culture to the masses.
Exactly. But yeah, so he's like, he's like singing into the space rat as if it's a microphone. That's one good, like, interesting thing about this movie. All the music is like in universe because it's coming out of his Walkman that he's
Yeah.
brought with him. Somehow kept it powered and like, with
We
space
don't
batteries.
question that. We don't question it at
Nah, it's
all,
not
how
at
he
all.
did it. It's just the fact that he's got it.
Yeah.
Everyone from the 80s will remember those headphones,
Little
those
fuzzy ones,
orange
yeah.
headphones that knocked your ears.
Oh yeah.
But that scene is
um,
just, it's brilliant. It's such a great entry point to Quill.
yes.
Because you get to see what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
In Quill has a lot of layers, and it's something that you do see throughout this film.
Mhm.
But
It
one
takes
of
a
them,
while to like unwrap them, though, doesn't it? Because like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, he's not the person you meet at the beginning is not the person that you meet at the end.
Mhm.
He does go on a little bit of a journey, and I think that's Quill all the way through his arcs, as he always goes on a little bit of a journey.
Yeah.
Um, but this is the Quill who is off to steal an orb
Yeah. Which he gets without much trouble with like a weird magnet thing.
because he's clever. He's a Ravager. But remember, if we don't find this out until a bit later on, but he is part of the Ravengers, and he was used as a little thief.
The famous outlaw Star Lord.
Yes,
Yeah.
who? Um, yeah, he's used as a little thief, so this isn't out of the ordinary. The Quill would know how to steal this.
Yeah. And this is him like going out on his own for what seems like the first time from the reactions of everyone around him. Like
Yeah.
he's gone into business for himself. Because this guy Karath shows up, who's like, the cybernetic man.
Hmm.
Um and he's like, give us the orb, like in the name of Ronan. He's like, who's Ronan? And then he's like, who are you? Like Peter Quill. And he's like, maybe you'll know me by my other name, Star Lord.
Who? I just love saying who.
I know.
Um, yeah, this is where you get to hear for the first time the name Ronan. The
Mm.
accusers are weird,
I'm gonna
and
say right now, I don't know a lot about Kree, and for what I have seen, hasn't massively made me want to learn more.
I get that. The accusers are like he's not just there's one of I think he's one of four,
He's
if I
scary.
remember rightly. Yeah. Lee Pace did an amazing job
Yeah.
of it's. I'll talk about it at the end of the film, but his facial expressions are fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like really well done. But yeah, I'm sure if my brain doesn't let me down on this one, I'm sure the accusers of he's one of four. There's
Mhm.
not just one accuser.
Yeah, they made it sound like it was like a title or something, not like
Yeah,
that's his full name.
yeah.
But yeah, so then we get like a nice little chase. I do like how he uses that same sort of gravity well thing to stick all the soldiers together and have to sort of press the
The
button to
the
release.
one thing I miss of Quill in later things is the mask. I feel
Yeah,
like,
true.
and I know why he uses it for, but in this film it's shown quite a bit. But I feel like such a great part of the costume, like the jacket, like the
Yeah.
whole thing. It looks so like aesthetically, it looks brilliant, but
I
he
guess
doesn't use it.
Yeah, I guess they always have problems with masks and taking them off in Marvel movies. They try a little better with Spider-Man, but even he
Yeah,
spends most of it to mask off.
in the mask, and
Um,
I get it. It's not
you're
easy to
right.
go backwards and
You're right though. It's
forwards.
a strong look and it's very like
Hmm.
alien. It's very like, but it's like mixed with, human sort of fashion with his like, duster coat and everything.
Yeah,
Um, it's very fun because he's like a child of the 80s and it's like this is what a cool guy would look like in like an 80s
it's a
movie, like
jacket.
yeah. Like an
It's the
action
jacket.
star.
Yeah, it's so the jacket. It's almost like because obviously I know it. The first thing that any time you think a leather jacket comes into my head, it's always Thriller. And it's like
Yeah.
that thriller jacket has been like kind of turned and changed and
He
like
does the Michael
advanced
Jackson
and
dance at the end, so he's
yeah,
definitely a child of the like that time
yeah,
period for sure.
absolutely. But
So there's an interesting mural on the wall in here because this is the planet Morag, which
yeah,
it's like all ruined and everything, like storms and everything,
yeah,
no civilization. He does sort of scan it and kind of reveal what used to be there.
yeah. That's when you
But
see the doggy.
there's a mural showing the creation of the Infinity Stones, or yeah, they're called stones, right?
What?
Not gems. Um,
Yeah, you got to get the name right because it's
yeah,
not. It's
it's not the
are,
same
are they gems
sort of.
in this or stones?
They're stones. They're
There's
called
stones and it's
stones.
gems in the
Yeah,
comics, right?
I think so. Yeah. So basically, there's a mural. It's like it's not really shown much, but it's in like the concept art and stuff where, um, it's like four different beings creating it, and it's supposedly death, eternity, entropy, and infinity. Which in Marvel, those are like not physical, but personified beings. Like
Yeah,
death. But I was thinking now that we've had like death in Agatha, like is that 100% the same
I
death
don't know
that we're dealing with here
that
in
that
Cosmic Land?
that I don't know because the idea of having death at this point in the game
Yeah,
is just worlds away. You can't fit her into this storyline. So,
no,
and I just don't know. I like the idea of it. I really do.
yeah,
It's just a
it
little bit
just
too
feels
late.
well, it feels weird in a way because like why would death be taking a personal interest in Agatha Harkness? Like if she
when
was
there's
like,
when there's a big massive universe at play.
but is there a part of it where it's like, well, I am omnipotent, therefore I can be on Earth talking to Agatha, but also I'm handling like universe
Yeah,
stuff at the same
we
time.
we don't know
Um,
enough about her in this universe to
no.
say yes or no.
And like it's obviously this is a big comic reference, and we're talking like what, like 10 years later when Agatha comes out.
Like
So
literally 10 years later.
yeah, I'm not saying they had to have the ideas lined up. They've probably forgot about this mural or never even known about it. The people who wrote Agatha.
True.
um, but yeah, it's interesting to think about now that lots more stuff's been unlocked for us as far as like space
Yeah.
and universes and stuff.
There's so much being unlocked. We like now officially like I know we've had Thor mention the Infinity Stones
Yeah.
before, but now we haven't I mean we'll get into it in a bit, but we have explanations about them.
Oh, full on, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting so far into it that you can't turn back now.
No,
Physically can't turn back after
they're
this
just showing
movie.
them on screen now, letting us look
Yep.
at them. So
But I
yeah,
never
like
noticed that mural at all.
no, it's quite dark in that scene, so it's you wouldn't really be able to see it. The camera doesn't pan over it, but it's cool. Though. You should have a look.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, he gets back on his ship. Then it turns out he's got a little alien woman in the cargo hold, and he's like spanned the ship around like a million times.
Yep.
So this starts the bit of a running joke where he's a bit of a scoundrel, shall we say, like a
Almost like a Han Solo type.
little
Like
bit.
yeah, because he does use a Star Wars reference later on.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm guessing like again, like if he's going for looks, like he's basing it on his hero, which probably could have been Harrison Ford as Han
and
Solo.
yeah, and every kid back then had seen Star Wars, and that would be your only frame of reference for like, what does a space like captain do?
The,
um,
the parsecs and everything.
yeah. So what I do love is she's the one who answers the call to Yondu, and he's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Michael Rooker's here, everyone, and he's
Of
absolutely
course.
amazing.
Of course, Rooker was always going to be in a James Gunn movie, but the fact that this is we get because Rooker has a tendency in James Gunn things or in anything, to be honest, like he's such a side character.
Yeah, he has
He's
to
so
play like a redneck, which I guess he kind of is a redneck
because he
in a
does it
different way.
so fucking well.
And
This is perfect. I
yeah.
love the fact that Rooker is here. He's Yondu. He's blue. He's got a mechanical mohawk.
Metal teeth, like jagged metal teeth.
Not just it's not. He's got like caps and shit on his
Yeah,
teeth. When he smiles, he looks absolutely fantastic.
yeah. I
Love
love
this.
because like Yondu is technically like the serious sort of the like in comedy, the straight man, where like, but he's also very silly at the same time. Like he switches back really well
Yeah,
because
because
like I love the running joke where he's just like the boys wanted to eat you. It's like they never even tasted Terran before. And stuff. He just keeps on bringing it up over and over again.
like that's the threat. That's the threat that he gives to Quill on a regular basis. Is the guys wanted to eat you.
And he
Um,
stopped them.
yeah. So what does Quill do at this point? Does he just cut him off?
I
Like, does
think
he
he
just cut
no
the
he
conversation away?
wait no he does like tell him he's like, oh yeah, I thought I'd save you the trouble and get the orb for you because he's like, I
Hmm.
showed up on Morag and there's no you and no orb. um but yeah, I think like this is where he tells him like, oh, we're Ravagers, and he's like, well, yeah, and what do Ravagers do? We steal from everybody. I think that's kind of like the end of
The
the
code.
conversation. He gets a
Yeah.
little bounty put out on him.
Yes,
Um,
that's right. He kicks off with all the other Ravengers, and
yeah,
you can already see the contempt in the other Ravengers' face that they have for
yeah,
Yondu and how he is with Quill. And obviously
yeah,
that doesn't just play in this one, that plays later on as well.
yeah. And then, but eventually the dude just turn into goofballs. I think a few of the angrier ones die in this movie as well, so maybe that's what happened.
Taserface is not here yet, so
Which is a real name from the comics,
it
apparently.
is.
um,
He's not here yet. But then
yeah,
we go to Ronan's ship.
yeah, the Dark Aster, which
Yes.
is very Warhammer. It's like a flying like mausoleum.
It actually, I've got the plot here, and it says on Ronan's flagship, the Dark Aster, Ronan embeds the stone in his warhammer.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like it's weird, right? Because we see it's very Dune. Do you think? Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
because
yeah.
we see him like come out of this like puddle of blood. We soon find out. They're kind of like sleeping in it, and then he kind of gets up and he gets like dressed for like in his ceremonial garb and stuff.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
he kills a guy who's what is it, a Zandarian, I think.
Xandarian,
Xandar, I
because
think,
he
from the planet.
absolutely fucking hates Xandar.
Yeah, in like a
Um,
kind of racist, you killed my ancestors and stuff kind of way.
some things you just need to let go.
Yeah,
And Ronan can't let go.
yeah.
And when he's standing in his, his I would guess throne room, he's
Mhm.
got two daughters of Thanos standing with him. He's got Nebula, who actually not a daughter of Thanos, but never mind. Um, and Gamora,
Yeah.
and he has the Mighty One. Does he have the Mighty One on screen? Yes,
Um,
he has the mighty because he contacts Thanos, who
yeah,
they really had to get quick to cast. Because when you see Thanos in the Avengers, that's not Josh Brolin.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
they really had to be quick on the mark to get Thanos cast because they needed him for this film. And
and
this
it's
is
a
the
very
Thanos.
it's a different performance though, which I noted, but it's understandable because he doesn't have a lot to work with in this film. It's only like a
No,
handful of lines.
yeah, this is like kind of we need to just hear now, just for
Yeah.
presence. We don't need you to. We'll figure this out as we go along, kind of
It's
thing.
more
But
of
at
a
the
like
moment,
shouty sort of performance,
yeah,
like a yeah.
we just need you to say the lines and then you can go home. But
Mm.
we need you to be the Thanos going forward. So they really
Yeah.
had to be very quick and very smart and very meticulous on who they picked because that had to be the Thanos and Josh Brolin being the greatest choice to pick because he really, if you aren't paying close enough attention, you can't tell that that is not Josh Brolin in the first original Avengers.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't. The
Yeah.
face, it just looks great. Looks absolutely great. Um. So yeah, he threatens. So yeah, Ronan wants to kill. Ronan wants to destroy Xandar, and he wants Thanos' help to do it.
Yeah, it's weird. He says like, "Oh, the only way Thanos will help me just like destroy is if I get him the orb." It's like,
Yeah,
can't your
because
giant ship do it? I don't know.
and Thanos is
Um,
like, "Fuck no, I'm on my
yeah,
throne.
but
Leave me alone."
it kind of turns out Ronan's like, I mean, he's not doing a lot of his own dirty work, so maybe that's the issue. But he messes up a lot during this movie with sending henchmen to do his work for him.
Yeah, because Nebula like just joins forces with Ronan. You don't know too much about Nebula at this point. You
No.
just and this I love Nebula's arc from
Yeah,
start
she's
to finish.
amazing.
I
Yeah,
absolutely love her. I don't like Karen Gillan's performance in this movie.
not this
She's
one.
so eager. She's
Yeah,
almost too eager. Also shaves her hair off. She comes in. After she gets the part, she
yeah.
comes in fully bald, and James Gunn went, "Well, what did you do?
Who's gonna be
We
prosthetics?
we were just gonna put a bald cap on you," and she was like, "Oh no, no need. I'm
I mean,
good."
it might be uncomfortable to have a bald
She
cap on.
didn't do it for the second one.
Okay. um.
She never did it again, and that's why Nebula looks slightly different from
Oh,
how
okay.
she does in the first one to how she does later on, because obviously they had to factor in her hair. Thank
Yeah.
God you did not need to do that, Mike. Even though you rocked a bald look, she did look absolutely fantastic, but you didn't need to do that. And she's just too over eager in this, and
Yeah.
hasn't quite figured. And this is the hard part of Nebula, because the Nebula we see here is not the Nebula you see in Infinity
No, she's very much
Stones.
like coded as like the most loyal henchman sort of thing,
Yeah,
and we don't
but
get any more character than that.
no, and in Infinity Stone, she's dying. She is
Yeah.
literally dying, and he is leaving her on the cusp of death, just to punish her even further for
Yeah.
probably nothing that she did. So, for Karen probably had the hardest job out of everyone on character basis, because Nebula doesn't have a lot really that she
Yeah.
can go from in comics. So I understand what she's doing here, and I know later on she'll have a little bit more to go with.
Yeah.
And
And
but I
I
honestly,
think
I think she makes it her own.
I think if she's bouncing off the Ronan performance and the Thanos performance, she's probably gonna be like, I need to be like shouty and like, "Ugh," like
It's the rip me,
I
wow.
think I think it's just them though, because if they're all in a stage, like on a sound stage together, like acting up to the ceiling with the shouting and stuff,
Yeah.
it probably was influencing other people's performances. But yeah, so we actually flashed down to Xandar to see
Mm,
on street level. I love the look of this place. It looks like the Citadel in Mass Effect, and
clean.
I'm just like, hell yeah.
So clean, and the Nova Corps is there, and
Yeah. So
oh
this is where we get him trying to like sell the orb, and that kind of goes wrong as soon as he mentions Ronan's after it, and the guy's like, I want no part of this deal anymore.
yes, the seller, or the
Yeah, the
buyer
buy, yeah.
even, who is
Yeah.
Moxie from Alvida Same Pet for all us Northern UK viewers.
There's dozens of us.
There's loads of us. But
uh,
yeah,
yeah.
Moxie. I can't remember what the actor's real name is. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I'm looking
nobody.
at
He's a fun character. As the little antiques man.
yeah.
Where Yondu buys his knickknacks that he likes to put in his control
It's when
console.
he's like, I don't know if you're joking right now.
He's not.
He's not.
We see it
Um,
later.
I love the fact that the Nova Corps is here. Now I
Yeah.
go on to, after reading a bit of Captain Marvel and whatnot, I go on to start reading Nova and Richard Rider, and I fall in love with the Nova Corps, and I'm
Well, I'm sorry to tell you,
looking.
but they've cancelled the TV show
No,
again.
hey, he Richard will have his time. He
Yeah.
will. He will have his time. I think it's his. I think it was his son that I was reading as well with the
Yeah,
Young
Nova is kind
Avengers.
of like Nova's sort of like a title that's sort of passed down
Yeah,
as like a superhero for this kind of thing.
yeah. I think it's Sam Ryder.
Mhm.
That I was reading, and because I'm sure of it. Sorry, I'm just
Doesn't he
checking
just
out
run
now.
into guys with his helmet? I seem to remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But this is where we're introduced to Rocket and Groot as well, because they're like scanning for something to do. They're not really there for any reason.
No,
Uh,
no. And I was
um,
right. It's uh, Samuel Alexander, not
uh-huh.
Ryder. It is the Young Avengers. Sorry.
All right. Is there
Yes,
like a kid Nova as well? Is that right?
it might be the same thing. Might be the same thing.
um,
But yeah, so we get introduced to Rocket and my favorite version of Groot.
yeah.
This is the best looking Groot.
Yeah. Well, it's technically a different Groot to the rest of them. Like
They're not all the same.
the Groot that grows is not the same as
No, it's a
this
different
guy,
version.
unfortunately.
And I'm fine with that. But this
Yeah.
aesthetically wise,
He looks
this
so
is my
happy.
favorite look.
He's so
Nothing
adorable.
phases him. Nothing
We,
phases this Groot.
yeah, we see him drinking out the fountain the first time. We see him.
Yeah, and it's like, you're disgusting.
And he's like, I
Look.
saw you. Like he's trying to say didn't. So yeah, Rocket's like scanning guys. This is where we get our Stan Lee cameo, which I think is the
Yes.
earliest. Maybe Iron Man 2 might have been slightly earlier, but
Might be.
um it's up there. And he's like, look at that old guy, the pervert.
Where's
Like,
your wife? Which is really, really weird because Stan Lee is notorious for not liking the idea. And I noticed this in one of the Iron Mans. He had two women do the whole Hugh
he was a
Hefner
Hugh
joke.
Hefner, yeah.
But when he did Mallrats, he didn't want to do some of the dialogue that Kevin had wrote about him, where he was like
Yeah,
a cheater on his wife and that, because like he's him and his wife. If you ever watch the Stan Lee documentary, they are like they were meant to be together. They
solid
met
as a
each other.
rock.
They met one day, they married the next. Like
Yeah,
and they were together until the day she died, and then obviously we lost Stan not long after that. And their relationship, it's solid. It's
yeah.
and which shocked me that he obviously did the Hugh Hefner joke, and then he does this one with the girl, and I'm like, hey, Stan,
Yeah.
stop it.
I
You're
just
about 80-year-old here.
it's just ballsy for them to let Rocket call him a pervert and then just move
Mm,
on without any kind of
yep.
more information there. Um, and this is where he picks up the bounty, and we get a little chase, and Gamora's like kicking the orb around, and like it all goes crazy. Basically, Groot grabs the wrong person. He's like, Groot, learn genders, because he grabs Gamora instead of Quill, because he just sees a human. Um, and yeah, like they get arrested by the Nova Corps, as you alluded to,
Yep.
who are a very silly Nova Corps, which I very much enjoy.
Loved it.
John C. Riley is immediately on screen being like,
Love.
"Hey, it's Star Prince," and he's like, "Lord," he's like, "Oh, sorry, Lord."
Yeah, I love John C. Riley in this movie.
Yep,
Glenn Close,
yeah,
loved.
with a futuristic hairstyle, which
She looks fantastic.
I love when you can tell people are like, hell yeah, put me in the future outfit, make
Yes.
like do my hair weird, like because it
Yeah.
has to, if it's supposed to be a different planet. So
Like I want to live in this moment like right now. And Glenn
yeah,
Close certainly does that.
yeah. So yeah, like the stuff with the Kree Empire, because we hear a little bit like the peace treaty's been signed, and
Yeah.
Ronan is like ignoring the peace treaty, as if he's like a rogue actor.
Mm.
But the Kree guy is very much not interested. She's like, he's killing children, like he's breaking the treaty. Can you not come out and disavow him? And he's just like, that's your problem.
Yep. Not
And
ours.
it's pretty messed up.
It's
But
sick. It's really sick. But
yeah,
hey, space politics, what are you
yeah.
going to do?
That's why I don't
Um,
understand like why I can't get on board with Kree stories, because I'm like, aren't these guys the baddie? Like, shouldn't
yeah.
these guys just be the baddies, and I don't need to care about them?
Yeah, this there's a Groot finds out that there's a bounty on Quill, doesn't he, while he's doing all these scanny
Yeah,
stuff, and
sorry,
that's
that's
when
what I
the
was
chase,
saying. There's a big
that's when
chase.
the
Yeah,
chase
yeah.
after. I was just making sure I'm in the right place, and that's when they chase after each other, and that's when they get arrested by the Nova Corps along
Yep.
with um Groot, Rocket, Gamora, and Quill,
Yep.
all gone, and they end up in Kylan prison.
Yeah, and I do like how Rocket's like, this is the part of the job I love. And he's like, this is gonna hurt, little man. He's like, Stoller just gets like zapped, and he's like, he ride, little man, and stuff. I just love how Rocket is he cares in a way, but it takes a while to like chip away at his like
Yeah.
exterior and get to like his heart. But at the same time, there's nothing more he loves than a silly thing happening with some technology. Like that's a
Yes.
constant where
Yeah.
he's always interested in some kind of technology, and if it's funny, he's very happy.
Even the better for it.
Like when
Um.
he's like, I want that arm like to win a soldier.
Yeah. I want that leg.
I'm gonna get that arm.
And you know what though? You believe that he's going to get that arm.
He gets it for Christmas. in the Christmas special.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I've only ever seen that once, and it was a long time ago.
Oh, I've started
Um,
watching it every year
oh,
now.
really? Oh, I might add it to my traditions. But yeah, so they're in the this is when Quill, because he doesn't understand Groot yet,
No.
and as we learn later on, the only way you do get to learn Groot is by being around him long
Yeah.
enough to where
Yeah.
you eventually pick it up.
It's like inflections, I guess, on the sentence.
Yeah.
It's not the same as Chewbacca, which is just its own language. Like this is more like you have to learn like the
And
inflections in
yeah,
the voice.
and they have such a beautiful moment in the third one. And I know I'm skipping ahead, and we'll probably talk about it in the third one, but
Yeah.
when you finally hear Groot talk properly, it's because you've been with Groot long enough that you can now
Yeah.
understand him.
That's really
I
sweet,
am
yeah.
going to cry. It's one of the most beautiful moments that James Gunn does with that
Yeah.
character, because it's such a thing throughout the whole film that Gamora cannot understand that, the new version of
Yeah.
Gamora cannot understand him until the point where she can, because she's been in his presence long enough to where she can understand him.
Yeah. And like we're just kind of like at this point we're just assuming Rocket and Groot are sort of like a Han Solo Chewbacca sort of thing where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, he translates for him because he can understand.
Yeah. And I love the
Yeah.
way that Rocket explains it. He don't speak well like you and me.
Yeah, he just like uses the worst few sentences to explain
Yeah.
it.
um, Quill notices that one of the guards has pinched his Walkman as well, which like sends him into an absolute rage because he's listening to Hooked on a Feeling.
This weird guy with like massive eyeballs. He's
Yeah.
just like,
He's like, Blue
yeah,
82, Hooked on a Feeling, that's my
he
song.
just gets zapped,
Yeah.
and then hosed down. So this is where we get naked Chris Pratt in all of his glory in his pants, showing off his physique.
Hey, he worked hard for it.
Yeah.
I have a
Um,
lot of feelings on Chris Pratt as in 2025, but in 2020,
yeah,
in
yeah.
2014, they're not there yet.
Yeah, he's a very extreme case of like love his characters. Probably wouldn't want
Hate
to
the
chat to
person.
the man.
Hate the person, love
um,
his character, love this
yeah.
character.
So like this is like where I think it's like just before this, but as they're getting loaded into the prison and stuff, you get like the little rundown of all the characters and the little scans with the Novacore and the doing all the silly like little
Yeah.
looking at the
Apparently the
camera.
middle finger thing was improv as well. James Gunn
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that. He just told them to do something. I
Yeah,
just
because Rocket like spits on the floor and Groot's kind of like looking at the camera and stuff.
it's like what my
Um,
cats do when I put my camera on them. They're, what's going on?
I just love like the what a bunch of a-holes line, and then it's
Yeah.
just like straight to prison with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the prison we find out that Gamora is like well known for being a daughter of Thanos and like a
Yeah.
sort of genocidal murderer.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but
this
at
is
this point we have sort of unpacked that she was betraying Thanos. She was like, I have a buyer lined up.
yeah.
I'm not actually working for him
I am
anymore.
literally trying to get out of this situation with
Yeah.
Thanos. What See, when I go on to read Guardians, I meet a completely different Gamora.
Yeah.
Gamora
Yeah.
the assassin, Gamora the I will bang Tony Stark for a second and then discard him like he is nothing to me, but then I will have
Yeah.
him back whenever I want him back.
I have
Yeah.
lots of swords.
Yes, Gamora, the badass Gamora, who you kind of see more in Guardians 3
Yeah.
than ever before, than ever seen before. Um, but yeah, the it. I can't say it takes me out of anything because I'd already seen this before I read anything. But to
Mhm,
know that there's a difference, but I kind of get like if she is trying to break free from the clutches of this horrific father of hers,
mhm.
um maybe going down a different route than the assassin type that she has been maybe is something that she needs to do.
Yeah, yeah. And when if anyone hasn't watched any, future movies, like when we say daughter, we mean he genocided a whole planet and sort of adopted her, like without
He
against
stole
her
her,
will.
basically.
Yeah, and
He's like,
we
I'll have you.
yeah, and which it turns out she's now the last surviving member of her race,
Yeah,
which sucks.
it really sucks.
So yeah, this is where we get a little peek at Drax. but he doesn't like come into it until nighttime when they decide to murder Gamora in the
On her
prison
first night.
showers. Yep.
On her first night, you could have quite easily just like scared the life out of her for like a few nights and then did it. But on her
Yeah.
first night, all
Yep.
right.
And this is where we get Drax's intro, and he's more interested. He talks about his wife and child a lot in this, which I know is his comics origin. But after that, they don't
You know,
touch it anymore in the movies, and I think that's the right
he
choice.
says it. He says it for the last time
Uh-huh.
in Infinity War when he's standing in the collector's
Yeah.
room, and he says his wife and daughter's name, and that's when he gets changed into blocks. I think it is, if I remember
Yeah.
rightly.
It's either
But that,
blocks or
yeah,
like string. I can't
he.
remember.
I think because he's by the end of this film, vengeance in half is being served
Yeah,
in
yeah.
half.
For
So
the
that's
Ronin,
enough
yeah.
to, yeah, that's enough to settle the urge for a bit.
I just think like yes, it's his comic origin, but I think maybe they could have dropped that a little bit because it seems a bit like he doesn't all of his other lines are sort of comedic, and that's like the
Oh,
one sort of serious thing.
the literal sense to him is just brilliant. When
Yeah,
Quill does the international symbol for slitting one's throat,
yeah.
he goes, "I will not draw my finger across their neck."
He's like, I would never slit his throat. I would cut his head clean
Off his
off.
shoulders.
Yeah,
It's
what you should learn quick is you don't assign things to Drax. He makes
no,
his own decisions
yeah,
about what he's gonna
absolutely.
do.
But this is when the plan they start to formulate a plan
Yeah.
out of like Quill just comes out. This is just how great, like he's so quick thinking of how like to get out of this situation, and that's obviously down to the Ravengers and the little.
Oh, it's no, sorry, it's Rocket who comes up with the plan.
Is it?
Rocket's the prison break. He's like, I've escaped
Oh, we know
22
that's it.
prisons.
That's it. The prison break comes down to him, but it's all
Yeah.
about the orb as well. And then getting the
Yeah.
orb, and
Yep.
they all decide that Gamora's like, if you get the orb for me, I'll split it three ways. And then
Yep.
Groot pops out of nowhere and is like,
Four
sorry,
ways.
four ways. Well, is it sleep for the?
They try and do it again later as well, which is funny. Try and leave him out again.
Yeah, and he's like,
But
no,
yeah,
four ways. But is
so
it
like
sleep for the adventure,
yeah,
wake for the payday, or something like
and
that?
he doesn't listen to the plan either because as Rocket's explaining how he needs like the battery out of the
I
middle
love
tower,
this scene so
he needs the
much.
guy's leg and he needs a wristband. Groot's just wandering up in the background, like
And
picking the.
oh my God, I love this scene so
It's
much.
so
So
funny.
they're in the bottom of the prison. Have they done the bit with the guy with the nose yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
that
around.
yeah, the alien race that Groot picks up with through the nose is Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Look around, Rob Zombie's kicking about somewhere in there as well, one of James's friends. But
Yeah.
the conversation, all three of them are sitting at the table. They're all looking at each other.
Yeah.
We're all meant to be focusing on this plan and how important it is to get this fuse because without
Last.
it, it's we can't do the job, but we need to get it last. So everything else needs to happen first before we get this. While all this is going on, this conversation, Groot is in the background walking towards what this fuse and heightens himself and pulls it out. And their
Yeah.
plan has to literally go into place right there,
But
right now.
it's great though because he like takes a while and sort of like tugs on it like longer than
Like
you
they
think.
starts pulling. Is that gonna come out?
And there's like people watching him but not really like knowing what's going on. Yeah, it's great.
There is some great, you know how I've talked before about how there's like shots in movies where you could literally take it as a picture.
Yeah.
This is one of them when Rocket jumps on Groot's back and just starts going around spewing just
Yeah.
bullets everywhere. And there's a moment where they just stop for a second and you
Yep.
just see Rocket. Oh, it's such a beautiful shot.
There's a few great like it turns out the Guardians are actually a pretty formidable fighting force.
Hmm.
For all the jokes, like Groot's like pretty overpowered, which is probably why they shrank him after this, because
Yeah,
he
which
gets them
is
out of a lot of jams.
such a shame.
Yeah. But yeah, this is where we get like my favorite Drax line. I think when they've actually like pulled off the plan. And he's like, oh well, you know, how are we gonna, you know, we're on this prison as well. It's like how we're gonna get out, like and stuff like that. And he's like, It's like that probably went over your head because he like suggests blowing up the prison or something. He's like, we're on the prison. If that went over your head or whatever. He's like, nothing goes over my head. I would
Because if
catch
it
it.
did, I would catch it.
I love that. It's
I
such a funny
love the
line.
literal sense of that man. It's something that they don't, and it obviously is kind of bred out of him because of his interactions with these lot.
Like
He
learning,
doesn't,
yeah.
yeah, he doesn't really do it a lot later on, but he does other stuff that's just 10 times
He
funnier.
he keeps his like it's like I don't know how to explain it exactly, but the way he just like boils everything down to like a really simple version,
Hmm.
like how later on he decides he doesn't want to have time to learn Peter's name, and he's like, you who laid with a like what was it, a Tascavarian or something,
Yeah.
like the tentacle monster.
He's like, I told you, like, there was one time.
Yeah, and it's like on the Christmas thing when he's like, "Look at that funny man!" Like in Kevin Bacon's yard, and he like picks up like the little gnome, and he's like, "I want the funny man." Like he,
Yeah.
yeah, he boils everything down to like its most like
Oh,
simple
my
value.
my favorite one is when he's eating something crunchy
The
and he's like,
Zog
you
nuts.
you can't see me. I'm eating them so slow. I am practically invisible. Crunch. I love it. I
Yeah,
love Drax. He's so cool.
I love how
Um,
the recurrent Zog nuts come back a few times as
yeah.
like a snack.
So while they're escaping prison and Quill's getting these friggin' Walkman back and they're heading to the Milano.
And the leg as well, where
Oh God, the
Rocket's like, "Oh,
leg.
that was a joke. I didn't
He's
think
like,
you'd
you really
actually
got the
get it."
leg? This is a running joke with them with Rocket. It runs throughout the whole entirety of his arc.
Yeah, he just wanted
That
to see him hopping around without
yep.
that was his sole
It's
motivation.
but sometimes they come in handy, the stuff that he steals, because if you remember, he gives Thor an eye later on.
Is that this eye? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that
He's like, well,
out.
it's the fact that he's I had to when I had to steal that, I had to put that in. Yeah, you may want to have washed that. Shoves it straight in.
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
a line here about when like it's a bit jumping around a bit, but this is where he gets called a raccoon. He's like, "What's a raccoon?" Like,
Yeah, Rocket
and
don't understand that very
no,
well.
but
And
it turns out he is.
it turns out, but
He's a Terran as
Rocket
well.
Rocket just doesn't know what he is. Like
Yeah,
because he's been so messed up, he hasn't a clue anymore.
yeah. But he's
But
great at prison breaks though, because he like loads up the middle tower. He turns off the gravity, and he gets all the little security bots, and then the sort of
mhm.
like like drive the way out. Like what's that Star Wars like Galaxy's Edge ride?
Oh my
It's like one
God,
of
yeah!
those
Star
where he's like,
Tours.
yeah, where he's crashing into everything.
Yeah, but they do get to the Milano, which is this is
Mhm.
probably Quill's age of when he left Earth coming out because the Milano is named after Alyssa Milano, who at the
Yeah,
time was a huge teen star.
yeah,
Again, not a nice person, but hey.
no,
But
but yeah,
yeah,
someone you might have a poster of.
yeah. Ronan then meets with Thanos again because
Yeah, this is
they
where he
found
gets
out
told like, "Do get it or you'll die." What does he
and
say? I'll bathe something in your blood or whatever.
yeah, and they found out that Gamora is betrayed them.
Mm.
Because at the beginning, Gamora is the one who asked to leave to go and obtain the orb. They find out that she's done a runner.
He says it in an interesting way though, which is like foreshadowing for later, where he's like, "You alienated my favorite daughter." So he's not even blaming Gamora.
Mm,
He's like, "You guys messed this up.
you
She
did
was
this.
fine. She was
Yeah,
fine when she was with me."
yeah, yeah. They really set that relationship up quite well.
Yeah, with just that one little line. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where they head to nowhere.
Yeah, which is
Nowhere.
spelled
This gone.
KN. Yeah,
Yeah. The skull. Now the planet is the skull of a celestial
yeah.
whose name was the Rip.
Oh, and it's like a mining operation now where they've like took all of the goop out.
And who ran nowhere for a while in the comics?
I don't know.
Cosmo.
Oh, really? They were the
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nowhere where they end up in the end, like where they
Yeah,
end up living, because
it's
there's
where
some of
they
this.
live. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought as much. I was like, because I didn't know if I'd heard it before, and as clearly I have proven over the last few weeks in my watching abilities, I don't pick a lot up when I'm watching stuff. I miss a lot of shit. So yeah, that would explain Cosmos being there in the Christmas special, in the third
Yeah.
one. She
I
is
mean,
a resident. She is, well, she was actually the like town's person.
yeah, yeah. No, and Cosmo is a really cool character because they're like it's linking back to real world history where a dog was
Yes,
sent into space
by
by
the
the
Russians.
USSR. Because she's got like the little all the markings on her spacesuit and
Yeah.
stuff. But in Marvel universe, she gets to be a telekinetic,
Yes.
telepathic talking dog.
Yes. She's just adorable and she's such a good girl.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I went on a bit of a look in because
because
I've
we're in Celestial Town now in
yeah,
modern
and this
day.
is and I get confused between Celestials and like cos like the likes of like Thanos and
Yeah,
Galactus and
I
Infinity
think
and stuff like
Galactus
that.
is technically classed as like he's like above a celestial. He's like a
Yeah.
because apparently, I mean, this is probably going to come in Fantastic Four. He
Mhm.
is in all of the universes at the same time. It's the same
Yeah.
Galactus, but he touches all of the multiverse. He's like
Yes.
he's there all in everywhere.
He's yeah, he is he what's interesting to me is, and I forgot all about this about because I love Galactus. He's one of my favorite Marvel villains.
I
You can kind of call him an anti-villain if you want to.
don't know
Um
what you call him. It's a force of nature, the
yeah,
galaxy.
Galaxy dum dum. But he was a human once. He was human.
Oh, nice.
Honestly, go and have a d- trying to find a starting point of Galactus may be very difficult.
Yeah,
Head to Wikipedia and just
yeah,
read from there. But yeah, I get kind of confused with celestials and cosmic beings,
yeah.
and yeah, so I had to go today and have a look and make sure I knew the difference, and I do because we do see a celestial later on in this movie.
Yes.
And I'm so glad I did because otherwise I would have probably made a fool of myself trying to differentiate between the two.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're in the skull of a celestial.
Yeah. There seem to be like sort of supreme beings who like prepare
Hey,
planets. Like,
the Eternals did a really good job because this is
yeah.
where in the comics they come from the Essentials come from the Eternals,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Like,
they did a good job in the movie.
so they kind of like they either create or destroy life, kind of like tend to planets as if they are gardens, I guess, in a kind of
Yeah,
way. Um, that's what
there's
explodes out of our Earth,
yeah,
a little bit.
yep,
But yeah, it's interesting because we're seeing like, oh yes, they've mined everything out of the celestial, which is what the humans try to do in Brave New World, Captain
mm-hmm,
America, which we just watched because that's where
yeah,
adamantium now comes from. So it stands to reason that that's kind of similar thing they did here, where they were like, ah, this is whoever killed it. We will may never know. um, but yeah, super interesting.
it
And
is,
yeah,
and
this yeah
I would just urge going to. I would just say if you want to know more about the Celestials and cosmic entities and stuff, just Wikipedia. Just
there's a lot
don't.
of it.
Yeah, just don't overdo it and try and be clever and try and
Don't
find
buy Fantastic Four number
no,
12 or whatever
no,
because you're not going to
don't
get a
just no.
backstory.
Because if you go through Wikipedia, you might find a jumping point that is a bit easier. Put it this
Yeah.
way: the are we looking at the silver? It came out in the Bronze Age, the Celestials. So probably about the Silver Age of comics is when art gets too overwhelming, and
Yeah.
it can really distract you from the story because the art is fantastic. Like there is no other art like it, but
Mhm.
it can be a hard read, especially if it's something that you are just jumping into.
Very
Like
psychedelic. And if you weren't alive in that time and taking drugs like the writers were, you might not get it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're on nowhere. They're getting drunk because they're just about to meet the buyer,
Yeah.
Gamora's buyer, who we don't know who it is yet.
Yeah, he's making
We
them wait
have
though. Like we're under the impression that he's messing them about a little bit because
yeah,
it's like, oh, he's making us wait hours or whatever.
Yeah, they have gone to see the Collector, who we have already met once in Thor:
Yeah.
The Dark World, Tanalia Tivani.
But we get a
Um,
full performance out of him this time, and he's great.
oh, do we? It is Benicio del Toro, and I love saying his name.
Yeah.
I actually love saying Tanalia Tivani as well.
It's his
Um,
hand movements and stuff though, they're so cool.
I see. I am a person who talks with my hands, so I get what he's doing. I really understand that, but the theatrics out of him, the
Yeah.
look of him, the now looking at more, there's more in his collection. He even has a dark
Yeah.
elf. How the fuck did he get a dark elf? Like, how
Yeah.
did he manage to steal one of them?
Yeah. So he likes to collect living things, which is the real creepy thing about him.
Yeah,
Because there's a bit with his like little maid girl, and he's like, "Remember what happened to the last one?" She's like
she's
in a
got,
tube.
yeah, and she's just
Did you
like,
notice?
help me.
Did you notice this is where the Slither reference was? Because there's little slugs in a tank as well.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Do you know, I've only ever seen Slither once, and that was literally just to
Yeah.
appease my sister because she was banging on about it
That's what
forever
happened to
for us
me.
to
Like my
watch it.
friends were banging on about it. Had to lend it off them.
Yeah, I had to
Um,
end up watching it, but yeah, Karina, who is the new girl, who is the
yeah,
new slave girl to Tivon, Tanalia,
yeah,
is in brings the they're not known as the Guardians yet, but the Guardians into minus Drax, because Rocket and Drax have getting into a fight because he was
yeah.
called Vermin. Rocket's like getting off his ends about it. Drax is just like having none of it, doesn't want to work with these people. But then Quill kind of has an understanding with Rocket. Like, I feel like them two have already figured out they're very much on the same page in life.
Yes,
It's about the money.
and did you pick up at the start as well when because the kid at the start's got a black eye and she's like, "You've been fighting with the other boys again?" And he's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, like they killed a frog, like and stuff like that. That wasn't doing anything." So I think he has like a lot of
yeah.
empathy, and especially for Rocket, who looks like an animal, he's definitely going to be protective over him because he's like,
Mm-hmm.
while we know he's totally capable,
Mm-hmm.
he's looks small.
Absolutely. So the everyone goes off apart from Drax in to meet Tanalia Tavani. I should love saying his name.
uh,
It's because I can. Um and
And he creeps
they
about first, doesn't he? Where he's like,
yeah.
Gamora. And then he's
Do
like,
we
what is
see
this?
do we see Adam's pod this one,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
was it
No,
Thor?
it's all there again.
Right.
The Howard the Duck, you do see Cosmo. They walk past Cosmo at the start.
I love the fact that you
Um,
get to see Cosmo when when she runs off. That
yeah.
we know she's okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
Um,
yeah.
we don't see Howard the Duck. Don't see him till the end.
No, I think there's a quick shot, but yeah, it's hard to see.
If they did, I missed it. But I was very much focused on the Adam Warlock pod,
Yeah, you're
and
looking for that.
yeah, I'm thinking in my brain, how do we get Adam between now? Bearing in mind, I started reading Guardians in like 2015-ish,
Yeah.
so I knew all about Adam Warlock, and I'm like, how do we get Adam Warlock now before Infinity War? Because we need Adam Warlock for Infinity War. You can't do
Yeah.
Infinity War without Adam Warlock.
I thought that too.
Um, I don't mind that they went down the way that they did
Yeah.
and not have Adam Warlock. Don't get me wrong, I have a few questionable things to say about the Adam Warlock that we have on screen.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very silly, really.
just, you didn't need him.
Yeah.
You didn't. He doesn't
It
need to
was a
be there.
it was
So
just a joke because they needed a new character, I think,
then,
like something to
just
add.
bring somebody else, and you didn't need to give him the Adam Warlock name.
Yeah.
But maybe it's I don't know. He's a very young Adam Warlock. Maybe we get
Came out the
our
cocoon
Adam.
too early.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well,
I
that's
just know
Guardians
that I had
2, at least, and 3.
yeah, I had feelings on that. But yeah, I'm looking everywhere. So if I saw how if Howard the Duck was there, I did not see. But this is where we get the fantastic explanation of the Infinity Stones and
Finally.
what they actually mean. They don't does he go into does he tell you which one's which? Or does he just say it's like
Um,
of space, of time, of
Not so much, but I think it does flash them all in those little like orbs
yeah.
and stuff. But
And they
yeah,
also show you the ether and the cube to make you
yes.
aware they are. they are telling you in that moment that what you've seen before
Mhm.
are in fact Infinity Stones.
Yeah, because I don't think the yeah, they had talked about it, but they hadn't like put everything on
No,
screen for everyone to
Uh,
look at. Because
no,
they did say like, oh, we can't keep the Aether on Asgard so close to the cube. Like two, we can't have two Infinity Stones. But yeah, this is the
yeah.
first time we learn that the collector he knows everything about them. Like
Hmm.
he hasn't just got one. He's not just looking after one for the Asgardians. Like he knows
Yeah.
exactly what these things
He's
do.
a good keeper because
Yeah.
he's a collector. He's not somebody who's going to actually go off and use it, because
Yeah.
if you are a good collector, you keep your shit in its protective cases.
Yeah, his
Um,
his his um his servant breaks the golden rule. Never touch the
she does a
stones.
Paul, and she takes the shit out the box.
Oh, see, yeah, Paul would explode at some point. I saying that's what's gonna happen to him if he's not too
he,
careful.
he takes
Um,
that shit out the packaging again.
it's really scary though, because like all of our like internal skeleton just turns into like
She combusts
celestial
from the
light.
yeah,
And
it's a brutal death, but one
yeah,
that is actually in spectacular color.
oh yeah,
Um, I love that the literally the stone is in like it's everywhere around. She like kind of goes into stone, and you notice that later on with Drax,
hmm
right at the end when Drax is in the presence of it and touching Quill, his skin like kind of goes to like stonish, and it's like it's
yeah.
trying to like it's creating a shell to then like break out of.
Yeah, it's as if it like replaces like your insides and you're just sort of
Mhm.
left with like the power spilling out.
Exactly, and it's so scary, but it all blows up.
The entire
Karina's no more.
building pretty much, well,
Yeah,
it blows all the windows out and breaks all of the stuff,
it
but
it
the
leaves
building is still there.
it leaves the fate of Tanalia to be decided. You don't
Yeah,
really know what's happened, but when Gamora is like, shit, that's an Infinity Stone. We shouldn't have it.
yeah,
Fucking Ronan definitely shouldn't have it.
yeah.
We need to get to this to the Nova Corps. They if To be honest, they had it right. If bloody Karina didn't mess things up, he would have the collector would have been the best person to have a hold of that. However, she did.
Well,
So
I don't
he
know
would
though, because
have. He
we could
didn't use the other one.
no, but I think we sort of get hints that he wants them all so he can be like more powerful than Thanos. He doesn't want Thanos to have them, that's for sure.
The
Um,
thing is, though, isn't it kind of like down to what you want from them? It's not a case of like this is with all of them together. What Thanos did is what this will always do. It's what you
yeah,
want from it.
I think
Because
like
that's what Tony makes the point of is that I want everything to go back to the way that it was, but I don't want my life to change.
yeah, and
You
like
need to remember that when you click your fingers.
yeah, but it does murder whoever uses them. So unless you're like a supreme being, um,
Unless you are the Hulk. If the Hulk, because the Hulk did the snap in the first place to
yeah,
bring everyone
it
back,
did mess him up though, didn't it?
but
Like
not to the point of where it killed him.
yeah, true, but yeah, um,
You could see Thanos was
I
dying.
don't know if the collector's got it in him to
No,
like use them
I truly believe that the if you are using the stones, it is down to your what you want from it. Not
intentions.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
But
the
yeah,
normal
so
person wouldn't want supreme power over all of the sort of things that make up the galaxy
yeah,
entire existence.
yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, Drax's drunk dialed Ronan to be like, come and
Come
fight me
get
in
me,
the
bitch!
come and fight me in the car park.
I'll fucking have you.
Exactly. And then yeah, it all goes to shit.
Very
I think we'll
quickly.
yeah, and I think we'll have to start moving a bit faster, but I think we've hit most of the interesting things.
Yeah, yeah, that was probably the most interesting bit because the next
Yeah.
bit is just the fight between I think it's the more information that is
Yeah.
like yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, they end up with Yondu who come up with this plan um to get the orb back because the orb is now in possession of Ronan who has now put it into his massive warhammer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um
So
and
actually, yeah, he does hold it, but I feel like because he puts it in his weapon, it's like not touching him directly. So
no,
maybe that's a
no.
bit better.
Yeah. So they come up with this plan in order to get it back, and it's because he is heading to Xandar. He's got
Yeah,
what he wants. They obviously get in touch with the Nova Corps. They warn them to get the people out of the city. They actually listen to them. A huge fight with the Nova Corps, which I fucking loved
I
seeing.
do. Yeah, I do love that part where they join all the ships together as well to make a big golden net. That's sort of
Yes.
like to block
Um
everything.
Yeah, and the main guy of the Nova Corps, who I never remember his real name, but he's from Shaun of the Dead, and he's
Yeah,
the voice of Darth Maul.
he's the what a bunch of a-holes guy.
Yes, he's the voice. He is the voice of Darth Maul. I never remember David. I think it's David. I can't remember it. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's fantastic in this. But the end part, is where are we?
Well, yeah, so like this is kind of like where they have to regroup and stuff. And
Mhm,
he's done like his save Gamora in space thing by
yeah,
sharing his oxygen, which is a very cool trope of like, space stuff
yeah.
or underwater stuff sometimes.
Mhm.
Um so that everyone sort of bonded a bit over the failure. Nebula's kind of like said like, I hate you now. You were
Yeah.
my least hated of the
Out of
daughters of
all of our
Thanos.
siblings, you
Yeah.
are my least hated.
Yeah. And this is where they're kind of like regrouping. And I think this is what you were talking about before, like
Mm.
Star-Lord's plan, where he's like, okay, so you got a plan. He's like, 12% of a plan.
12% of what plan? 12% is not a plan.
And then
um,
Groot's like saying something encouraging. Like
yeah,
it's good.
and yeah,
And yeah, this is the part where like they have to brute force their friendship together, and like this is when they're
they
like,
can't work together.
and they're like all stand up and be like, yeah, we're gonna do this,
Yeah,
we're gonna kill Ronan. And like Rocket's the last holdout sitting there with his arms crossed. I just love it
see,
when he finally stands up and he's like,
you
there,
got
I'm
me standing
standing,
now.
we're all standing like idiots.
Like a bunch of jackasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And then obviously the great montage song comes
Oh
on with
yeah.
Cherry Bomb.
Yeah.
Whoa, perfect is that? And the fact that it is Quill listening to it because you can see him
Yes.
gearing up as that song is going and his head's starting to move. And
Yeah.
then he gets up, and then that fantastic scene of all of them walking out
Yeah.
and into, but then they're all like Gamora's yawning, like
Yeah.
Rocket's like fidgeting with himself. Like there's
And
not
Groot
it's
Groot like comes in late, like out of the side
yeah,
room
I'm
and stuff.
here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
it,
It's
uh,
like
yeah, it's playing with the trope, but it's still doing it, which is fun
yeah,
because in the superhero movies, we want to see the lineup. At some point, we need
yeah.
like a big entrance, a big
And
lineup,
this will
fun
be the
thing.
last one that we have with all of them because of what happened. We get another
Yeah.
one, but it's not with all of them.
Yeah, they're all
Um,
changed after this for sure.
yeah, because the big fight is happening. Gamora and Nebula have it out with each other to where Gamora eventually wins, but Nebula's not killed. She just buggers off.
She like
The
stabs her own hand off and lands on a
Yeah,
ship and like kicks the guy out. It's very
yep.
like she's
She's evil.
badass.
She's badass. But this is the place that they're in is kind of blown up,
Oh yeah.
and they're about to fall. And one of the saddest parts, probably outside of Guardians 3, is
Oh
in
yeah.
Marvel for me, is this moment when Groot wraps his branches around everyone
To save
and
them.
takes them to safety.
It's the
Oh, it's
for me it's the lights, like the bioluminescent stuff, because he does it when they get in the ship and everyone's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And it's just
yeah,
the way like it all like curls around and it's
yeah.
like all the warm light and everything.
And you see him like getting when
His
he's
head's
getting
on the inside, so he's still
aha,
talking to
he's still
everyone.
there. And but when he's getting because Drax has been knocked out, when he gets more and more, and you can see it like getting and it's tightening up on
It's like
Drax. It's
cradling
like a
him, yeah.
cuddle. It's like a cuddle.
So he doesn't get
Um,
hurt from like crashing
and
around,
Rocket's realization is you're gonna die. Like,
Yeah. And
um,
he wipes away his little tear. Raccoons can cry. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Then we end up on the floor,
He says
and
we are Groot as well,
he
which he
does.
can say a different word
Yeah,
if
he
he wants
can.
to.
Maybe because we're starting to get there. Maybe I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe. But when they land on the floor, this is, and I know we've been going for a bit, but this is probably my favorite part of the
Yeah,
entire movie is this bit right here. Not just for the dance off, it is more to do with the Infinity Stone touching. That for
yeah.
me, I don't just get chills. I am on the verge of like just tears just falling
It's
for
so
this
cool.
moment.
So like yeah, we have like the ticking clock of like Ronan can't hit the Earth because if
Yeah,
he can touch the stone to the planet, it's like we saw an Eternal do it, a
yeah.
Celestial. It just like like
Oh
wipes out
yes, I
everything,
forgot to mention that we did see in the Celestial when
like
the
slam
Collector
the
was
stone
explaining
down.
things. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because
why I've looked into Celestials for is because of that moment.
yeah, but like this is so like yeah, this is like 100% confirmed the Power Stone, meaning it's sort of
Hmm.
like the power to like wipe the
Yeah.
slate clean, sort of thing. Um, but yeah, so he touches down. He's like, ah, look at you. This is your Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
He
he
gives
coins
them
the
the name.
phrase. Yeah, he
Yeah.
coins the phrase.
Even though he was trying to be cheeky.
Facetious as fuck.
But yeah, so yeah, Peter Quill stands right up in his face and tries to distract him the only way he knows how.
How? Have you seen the outtakes of this?
Yeah.
Where he goes, dance off. And he points to Ronan, and Lee Pace just starts dancing. And then Lee Pace points to Gamora, and like Zoe Saldana starts dancing. Then Drax is dancing, and they're all dancing. It's so good because it's taken so seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, the looks that what I was referring to earlier, Lee Pace and his looks, it's these moments right here where he's
Yeah.
like, what are you? And
Because
especially,
he's got a lot of stuff on his face because we didn't really talk
yeah,
about it, but he's got like a big cowl,
yeah.
obviously like lots of padding
Makeup
armor.
around his jawline, like looks like
Yeah,
it's like really restricting his mouth. So like when he
he's got
is
like
like,
bloody eyes and everything. So like when
yeah,
you're
he
saying
looks
he's doing
good.
facial expressions, he is like trying to project his character out of this like
Yeah. And he's
restrictive
doing
thing.
so well.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is when the stone leaves his Warhammer
yeah,
because uh, Quill is distracting him because Rocket is fixing a gun up.
yeah.
As
He's doing it.
soon as he's distracted enough, Quill then lets him know that he's being distracting him. And then he gets shot, and the stone shoots out of the Warhammer. They
Yeah,
both go to grab it, but it's Quill who ends up catching it, not Ronan. And this
yeah.
is where I lose. It's not that I lose my mind. I can't move in this moment.
It's so
I
intense.
it's so good. It's the score, it's the purple,
Yep.
it's the flashback to Mom, like the whole take my hand. It's foreshadowed right at the beginning when she
Hmm.
says to him, "Take my hand." This is his family moment. This is his connecting to the new family because he can finally let go of the one that he lost.
Yeah,
It's such a bigger moment than him just grabbing his stone and being able to hold it.
yeah, it's like it's an interesting one because it's almost as if he like actually does get to make good on that,
Yeah.
like hold my hand please sort of
he
thing,
he does it this
because
time. He
he
doesn't. He's
sees
not scared
her.
of it.
Yeah, and it's like to him maybe he is
Yeah,
holding a hand because we don't know, this stone is like
yeah,
past human comprehension. so
yeah,
it so like this is like finally gets like some closure and like you said a newfound family. But
yeah.
yeah, everyone does their
Comes in
heroics.
and they have
Gamora's
that.
the first one, even though
Yeah,
she's probably the one who was like the most suspicious of the group to this point,
but
like
she is 100% committed.
yeah,
She goes in first. She doesn't. Drax doesn't grab a hand because obviously the stone is in the hand. He grabs the jacket, and
yeah.
then Rocket's got his finger, but it's
He's just a little
Gamora, the
finger.
little finger, but it's Gamora who fully holds the hand,
Yeah,
and them all standing in there. And then Quill just like he's kind of looking up, like screaming to start with, and then he kind of just drops down
yeah,
eye level with them and just says like, with a Guardians of the Galaxy, bitch.
yeah,
Like really get, and it's Lee's voice where he goes, "How? No!" And I
yeah,
love that look on his face when it finally like when Quill opens his hand,
yeah.
and the yeah that is my
Vaporizes him.
that's my one of my favorite moments in Marvel movies. Like I love that part right there. I can feel the goosebumps on my legs
Yeah.
and the chills just
It's
even
like,
talking about it.
yeah, and it's like it's even like slightly foreshadowed because there's a moment when I think the collector's explain, he says like, oh, there was like four sages who like
Yeah.
almost harnessed the power. And I think like that's like they don't really, it's not like anyone goes like, just like the collector said, we have to share the power or something to,
No, no, it's
but
just
yeah,
done.
yeah, it's like very organic, and
Hmm.
it's
We
like
were listening.
they just tried their best to save him by just
Yeah.
like grabbing on, but it, I guess in turn it sort of divides the
It
power a little bit so that it
exactly it
can
like
not
distributes it.
explode.
It distributes it out, but it's like we were listening. Were you listening? That's what they're saying to you?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
listened to
yeah,
what he said. Did you actually listen?
yeah.
Because, I have a tendency not to pick this shit up.
But it's
But
cool
yeah,
when you do, yeah.
exactly. And it distributes everything out. And that's why Quill is able to stand there. It's not to say that Quill is anything like, yes, we find out very shortly after this that Quill
Yeah,
is only half human. And they don't, his father is like like a being that they've never, like, it's so ancient. They
he's
don't
like an
know.
anomaly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, he also double crosses Yondu.
Yondu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is one of my another one of my favorite moments of Yondu's is when he gives him the orb. I mean,
he
straight
puts it
away.
behind his back first. Like
Yeah,
it's
you know
very
because he's done
obvious.
that. Yeah, it's like he switched it out, but he does tell the audience straight away, like, it's a good job I
Yeah,
switched it out. And
yeah.
they go off to head to the Nova Corps, and that's where Quill finds out that he's half human, half whatever.
Can I just want to stop
Yeah,
because my absolute favorite scene is just before this
all
when
right.
they're all sort of sitting in the rubble. It's the part where Drax starts petting Rocket.
It's, oh
Um,
my God,
and
yeah.
the way he twitches, like, and
It's where he
kind of
goes like
hates it at
that.
first, but then he
Yeah,
like relaxes, and I'm just like,
because
oh,
it's because he's if people are touching Rocket, it's because they're looking to pull something apart from him.
yeah, he
So
hasn't had a lot of
no, he doesn't have that.
contact from,
No,
yeah,
he's
positive
like a
contact.
he's like an animal that's gone
Yeah,
through some really bad trauma. And
yeah.
the fact that it's Drax who's doing it, when he realizes it's Drax and how gentle he is, he kind of
Hmm.
just like relaxes into it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful moment for Rocket. It's a massive step for his
It's a
character.
heartbreaker, man. I nearly cried at that
Have
part.
you ever seen have you seen the real picture though? It's Sean Gunn sitting there.
I don't want to
And
see it.
it still gets me in the feels because like
I
Sean Gunn
suppose.
because Sean Gunn's still emoting like the
Yeah,
facial
he's doing the
expressions and
mocap.
everything.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
So yeah, so it's still kind of it still gets you a little bit, but not as much as what it gets you when you're watching the you know the
yeah.
CGI version of Rocket.
Honestly, like, I've said this before probably, but like Guardians, like one, two, and three, the only Marvel things that can get me to cry.
Yeah,
And I think it's just because James Gunn knows how to put the score and like the
everything.
melodrama together all at the
Yeah,
same time. And I
it's
think in the other Marvel films, they just don't have that magic ingredient. And I
no
don't know why they don't just bring him on to consult and be
consult.
like,
Yeah,
can you direct
because
Tony's
everyone wants
funeral? Like,
because yeah,
please.
because everyone thinks that they can do it though. That's the problem.
Yeah,
But
just like you, yeah, yeah.
James has used it as a blueprint ever since. If you go and watch anything that he's done, even down to Creature Commandos, which is
Hmm.
fairly recent, the blueprint of it's still there. You still know it's James. You still know
Yeah.
it's this is something he's touched. He's just really good at storytelling
And
and
I
like
think
to everything.
um I'm gonna totally butcher the quote and stuff, but I think Joel McHale in like the behind the scenes for Community kind of said a similar thing. He was like, comedies have like a much easier time capturing the audience because you have your good times, your bad times. And he's
Hmm.
like, that's the magic ingredient. It's like, the funny characters, but the touch of heart, like,
Yeah.
and that's what the Guardians films have.
Hmm.
Like they have heart like all the way through. Even when everyone's being super silly, you
Yeah.
still take it seriously because you can tell everyone cares.
Yeah.
Even just take one step back, everyone cares about this production. Like
Hmm.
you said at the start how passionate everyone was
Yeah.
being, and like how hard they were trying to make this good.
Oh yeah, they
It just
really wanted this
shows.
to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they wanted this group to be. They wanted something outside of event because if you remember going back to Iron Man, Avengers is all they had
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
in groups. So when they realized that they had another one, they were like,
Mhm.
"Shit, we could do something with this. Like, we could take this like X-Men level. Like, this
And it
is
did. Like this put the Guardians on the map. And like I
yeah,
say, the merchandise was like
yeah.
I would say it's more popular than Avengers than anything.
Oh,
Like really.
fully agree. So yeah, the once they've been to the Nova Corps and they find out about, Quill's thing, the Milano is being done up because, as
Yeah.
a thank you for saving people and being completely like selfless in
Yeah.
them trying to get families out and whatnot. The Milano is all fixed up.
I love as well when they have that little moment on the flight pad with like John C. Reilly, and he's like, "So does this mean we can break any laws we want?" And he's like, "No, it
No,
would still be illegal." And then they're like, "What about if someone it says something irksome and I remove their spine?" He's like, "That's the
that's
worst kind of crime."
that's murder. It's Rocket. He's like, well, what happens if I want something but someone else has it, but I really want it. And he's
Want it
like, no,
more?
that's
Yeah.
yeah, he's like, you're going to prison. He was like, but I want it more. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And basically the movie ends as they head off into the
Yeah.
next adventure.
And finally accept. Oh, sorry. Yeah, he opens the present from his mother as well, and
Oh, that's right.
we finally get the
Because
closure on that.
yeah.
Which it turns out that's why he's been so hard on this name is because that
Hmm.
was her nickname for him.
Yeah.
So obviously that's why he wants to be called that and wants it to
Star-Lord,
be
yeah.
taken
Yes.
seriously.
And also we have the reveal that Yondu actually finds out that he knew.
Yeah,
He knew because he raised him right.
yeah, yeah. And
He
he's
raised
like,
him.
yeah,
That's what he would have done.
yeah, and he's like, I'm glad we didn't hand him over to his dad. And he's like, yeah, that guy seemed like kind of a jackass.
And the fact that it was a troll, the fact that he gave him a troll, he knew he would want. Yondu would want that, but
For
also
his
Yondu.
console, yeah.
Yeah, and Yondu, that's the relationship that they have. It's
Yeah.
actually more personable than what you think it is. Yondu knew that Quill would switch the orb out because
Yeah.
he raised him good. He raised him like a Ravenger. Also, Quill was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to give him something he would appreciate. And he'd appreciate the troll.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure that's on his dashboard.
Yeah.
Because we will return and dive more into Peter and
Yeah.
Yondu's relationship in just
Oh,
the
will
best
we?
way possible.
Yeah. Oh, will we? So that ends the movie. You have the two credit scene, two credits, one
Is it
credit
just?
scene.
It might just be one
I
on
think
this
it
one,
might
you
just be
know.
one, and it is where the collector is sitting with
Yeah,
Cosmos jumps up in gives him a lick on the face while he's having a
yeah.
drink, and then you just hear, "I can't believe you let him lick you in the face like that," and
Yeah. I hate Howard the Duck. I'm
it's
sorry.
Seth Green as Howard the Duck. Yeah, I was convinced as a child that the movie Howard the Duck was a horror movie, and it freaked me
It
the
kind of
fuck
is.
out.
It's
Didn't know
got
it.
some body horror in it.
I learned some shit about the guy who created Howard the Duck,
Oh,
and
I thought you were going to say George Lucas there. He was the executive
no,
producer on Howard
he
the Duck
was.
and Willow.
No, the guy who created Howard the Duck had some massive controversy over it because he was
Yeah,
hot shit. I think it was him or was the guy who created Rocket. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it because it's a
a
lengthy
whole
story that
deep
has no
dive.
bearings. Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
so I think like a bit this, yeah, there's only one after credits. I think the subbed out the tease about his father for being like it's not after the
maybe.
credits, but I think that was
Yeah.
their like that's their little cliffhanger. And
Fantasy.
then this is their silly
Fantasy.
little
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, I
So
could have probably done without the this one, apart from
yeah.
I guess it shows the collector's still alive, which
Yeah.
does come up in a little while.
Yeah, yeah, I'm happy with that. What I have is I do have a not many comics of recommendation, but the two that are based on this movie or help this movie is
Hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy by Abnett and Lanning from
Hmm.
2008 and Guardians of the Galaxy say it for us, Jack.
Annihilation.
Thank you. Which came out in 2006. Issue 1 to 6 is the direct references to this movie. But
Yes.
what I recommend at this stage of where we are in the countdown to Doomsday is maybe people should, if they haven't already, start reading Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably
Came out in
should.
1991, by the way.
And you know what? If you look at it, if you open up the Infinity Gauntlet, collection
Yeah,
comic, there is some stuff before. There's Thanos Quest if you want to dig in
yeah.
before. It's actually
But you
really
don't. You
cool.
it is, but to be honest, you don't have to. You
No, but
don't.
it,
You
it
can
it
jump into
it
it.
shows you how he got every stone, which is its cool little story. But
Yeah,
when you open that page and you see how they do the artwork for an Infinity Gauntlet and how it's like the
yeah,
opening credits are like, in the comic and all of the panels and how some of the word is just like, God and rocks and stuff. And it's like,
yeah.
oh, it's just so good. It's like
It's
it's
so
almost impossible to put down because the
it
artwork is brilliant.
it took me a long time for me because I'm used to a 32 page big panels
Yeah.
of comics, big words, like very easy viewing, easy reading. And then I jumped into that
It
and
is
I was
quite
like,
complicated,
and
but
bearing
I
in mind,
think,
I
yeah,
read Arkham Asylum like years beforehand.
yeah,
And
that's more
that,
abstract.
oh my God, that messed
Yeah,
with my eyes. I'm like finding myself reading it like that.
yeah, I
Um,
don't like that art style, but
I love the book though. I think the book's absolutely fantastic, and I now officially own my own copy of it because I bought it at Free Comic Book Day. I
nice.
was like, I don't own this book, and it's one of my favorites. But yeah, the artwork was a bit overwhelming, so it took me a while to sit into it. But when I did, I finished it in one night. Couldn't put it down.
Yeah, it's one of them. It is a thinker. There's a lot of like, they end up talking to like celestials and stuff for a good while. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
it
gonna
it
I'm
follows
gonna read it again.
it follows the kind of movies plotline where in the middle everyone's dead
Yeah.
and they have to like undo that.
No,
But yeah, it's great.
I'm gonna start reading it again, ready for us to be hitting
We should.
Infinity War and Endgame, just to so because it's been a while, like I could sit there and go, well, I think this happened and this may have happened, and am I crossing it over with what's
Wolverine's
happened?
there in the comics.
Wolverine is there, Silver Surfer's there, Adam Warlock's there, Captain
Thor that
America,
transforms from a human into
yes,
Thor. It's got all the hits. Um,
yes.
God,
So
yeah, but yeah, Guardians, we did it.
we
It's
did it, and I'm so
honestly
happy. And
one of
I'm
the
sorry
best.
if we've gone on a little bit longer than anticipated, but I've had a lot of fun with this one. Like I've
Yeah,
really enjoyed not only watching it, but getting to remember stuff from like back in the 2014s and 15s of what I
yeah.
loved reading about comics, and yeah, I really enjoyed this.
This is it. We're in Marvel time. The 2015s were Marvels.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I love it. It still holds up. Holds up on its own. Holds up as part of the entire saga.
Hmm.
It's great.
Yeah.
Can't fault
Fantastic. Watch it.
it.
Watch it. Let us know in the comments what you think about Guardians of the Galaxy. You don't have to reference the other ones, just this one alone, because this is
Yeah.
where we are in the countdown. But let us know in the comments what you think. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Who's your favorite character? If it's not Rocket, then we can't be friends. No, I'm only joking. But yeah, let us know in the comments.
Drax gang, rise up. But
We
yeah, also we're a podcast now.
made it.
I don't know when this will go up in the grand scheme, but we're recording this around the time of Daredevil dropping, if that wants to give you a
Yeah,
timestamp.
but
Um, but yeah, we're a podcast now. So if you are listening on Spotify, sorry we didn't say anything in the last few episodes, but it's new information.
yeah,
But
it's all
please give
new.
us nice reviews on all of the podcast platforms.
Yeah,
You can find us wherever good podcasts are downloaded.
yep.
Um,
If
and again, we'll once we catch up to this episode, they'll just come out weekly and we'll be in line with the YouTube and it'll
yeah,
all be
exactly.
dandy.
If you are watching on YouTube, we are on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so when our
Yeah.
episodes come out, you don't miss them. You know when we come out because you are told.
And this will be a test if anyone of our friends listens. Tell us we're beautiful in the comments.
Yeah,
Write it in
drop
there.
us drop us a fruit emoji if you are listening to us.
Assign me a fruit.
No, assign us an animal. That's it. Assign us an animal with an emoji in the comments.
Yeah.
That's if you're listening. Go.
Okay, you've got three possible ideas. But yeah, so next time we're going back to the Avengers already.
Already we're going to the age of Ultron.
Yeah, we're gonna see the crazy super angry robot that
Yeah,
everyone knows and loves from the comics.
let's see. I mean, I know how I feel about this movie, even like not on a rewatch. Let's see if things change.
It's been a while since
Been
I've
a while.
rewatched it. So yeah,
Age of
that's
Ultron.
it for today. So Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
Let's fucking go,
let's
I
fucking
guess.
go.
Not sure. Bye,
Dunno.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye.